When that was a thing.
And
What's the correct way to write live stream? Is it as one word, hyphenated, 2 words? I never know.
well, I think the actual website is referred to as live stream with a capital L, but I think when it's not that website, when it's Twitch, I wouldn't put a capital. One word.
Got it. But is it one word?
That's what I do.
Okay.
So do you prefer if we call you Andy, or what do you like?
You can call me whatever you want. I'm all yours.
I'm gonna call you that guy.
Yeah, that is that. Yes.
That guy with the dragon hat.
Yeah.
That guy with the dragon. Thank you. Somebody got it. Yes. Good.
Fantastic.
Hey, he can join the Stupid Hat Club.
Okay,
Once you're
I like
in,
the
you're a
presentation
member
on the stream.
forever.
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 that's
Laura's favorite line of the game, if I'm not mistaken.
Laura's?
Yeah, I'm pretty. It's that and one other one that I'm forgetting.
Awesome.
The one we always
Oh no, it was
paraphrase.
Dust. Dust.
Dust.
Go kill yourself.
Yeah. He never actually says that. We just
He never says that, but it's
summarize
that
it
interaction.
It's like
That's
the
a
cliff
thing now.
notes
It's like whenever
for
we
that
just want to
interaction.
screw around, hey, Lucien, go kill yourself.
Again.
Yes,
18th
again.
time today.
Yes, do it again.
It's
Man.
the same. It's
Dude,
such a
it gets
shame
better.
we never got little Michael on camera saying that.
You know
Or-
what? That'll happen. That's something for the next time.
Or apparently, doesn't he have a thing where he pretends to steal your soul every time he sees you?
Yep, that's a thing.
Yeah, yep.
Beautiful.
right. Anyway.
Yeah, sorry for a little bit of tangent there.
Oh no, go ahead, man. I was just like, great. I don't even need to do anything. It's awesome. Right. Okay. That's 20 questions been answered. Anyway. So right. Anyway.
What's your Twitter, by the way? Is your Twitter at the Dragon Hat?
Yes, it is, sir.
Okay.
Right. Everyone in the chat, how are the vocals? How's everyone's voice levels?
I think
Sounds good to me.
I'm off mic, but hopefully you can hear me anyways.
They sound on mic to me.
Okay, chat's saying it's good. Awesome. So we can get started then. Right.
Awesome.
Welcome everybody. Anyway, so I have 4 guests with me today. Very, very special, talented guest. Okay, I'm going to pronounce this name completely wrong. Is it Kimlinh?
Kimlin.
Kimlin, right. Awesome. Kimlin, also known as Fidget. Deven Mack, the mastermind behind the vocal direction of Dust and Elysian Tail.
Hello.
Lucien Dodge, also known as Dust.
Hello.
And Edward Bosco, also known as Ahrah.
Hello.
Fantastic. Welcome, guys, and thank you for coming along.
it is a
for
pleasure to
having
be
us.
here.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
That was just adorable. That's going to be happening, by the way. Right, anyway, so essentially I've got quite a few questions, and I'm going to be taking questions from the chat as well. Anyway, so if we just start off with quite a simple one, obviously. So, how did you all get into voice acting?
Is who should start.
Go ahead, Lucien. You seem to have the most legit
7
way.
days later, when they all answered the question, well, I got into it through Japanese animation. Actually, I watched a lot of anime, and there came a point when I had the epiphany that there were actual flesh and blood people who did the voices for these cartoon characters. It had never occurred to me before. And I was intrigued and curious, and I thought, well, what is this world and this profession, and how does one do this exactly? So I did a lot of research online, found books, found other working professionals, and asked a lot of questions. And through that research and experimentation, I recorded my own voice and playing around with vocal characterizations, and discovered that I really loved the craft of voiceover. I loved the imagination, the freedom of it, and I had done stage work before, but this was, to me, so much better, quite frankly, than any of the stuff I had done before. Not that I hadn't had fun doing acting on stage, but again, there was just so much more that you could do and you weren't confined by your physical limitations or what you looked like or how old you are. It was all about creating the character with your voice, and as long as you could do that, the sky was the limit as far as what you could do as an actor. So I decided at that point that is what I wanted to do as a profession. So I made it my life's work, and again learned as much as I could about the craft and practiced tirelessly. And 13 years later, I think it's been now, I'm just thrilled to be able to say that I do it as my sole profession, and that's what I do.
Fantastic. I mean, we can all aspire to that. So, who's next?
Ladies first.
Oh, okay.
Hey, wait a minute.
What? It's true.
I see.
All
Sorry,
right.
please.
So I guess it's my turn. All right. How did I first get into voice acting? I've always, since I was a kid, I was one of those weird kids who, you know how there are kids who say, I want to be a dinosaur when I grow up. In my case, I said, I want to be a cartoon character, and thought the way to do it was to draw pictures. Okay, good job, Kimlin. That's totally how you do it. But over time, I thought, oh yeah, you can't just draw. It's not just drawing the pictures, though. It's self-expression. You write, and then I did a lot of writing, and I was all like, and it's kind of never really clicked to me that even I was fangirling over my favorite voice actors, and I was all like, oh yeah, they do play the cartoons, don't they? It only really dawned on me a little bit later when I met one of the voice actors at the mall, Carrie Savage, and I was like, you're a person. And it was a very long-term kind of realization. And I know that when it was in the senior year of high school for me, people can relate if they're in high school. They're all like, what do I do with my life once I graduate? What do I do? And I thought I was going to be a writer, but for my senior project, we treat that project as a career exploration. Like, explore your dream job and see what it's really like, to see if you really like it or not. Or explore something new, because you never know where you're going to end up. Some people have job shadowed DJs and learned that maybe I don't want to be a DJ. It's not for me. I want to be something else. For me, I thought I would be a writer. So I was like, let's try something different. For the funsies, I was just going to job shadow a voice actor, and I did. And for some reason, voice acting looked very creatively fulfilling to me. It wasn't just an extroverted person sitting in a booth and making funny noises. Being in an actual recording session, watching him work, seeing that there was a process to it. Seeing him work, it was work. It was fun too. He made lots of inappropriate jokes, and it was for an animated series. But he got to work, and to me it was interesting. It's creative work, and I was inspired right after it. Like, day after that, I said, I want to do that. It was weird. Years of like slowly easing in, wanting to dabble, but from then on, I actually wanted to give it a try. And I was already on my track to major in screenwriting anyway. So, how do I say this? I got home, recorded lots of stuff. When I basically took classes at my multiple colleges, and when I couldn't really take any classes because there's only so many units you can take at a time before killing yourself, took classes outside of college. When I didn't really quite have the money for classes outside of college, because everyone can relate, economy, I just kept practicing online. So practice. And wouldn't you know it, if you practice with the right kind of material, word gets out, and so on.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, it's the same sort of thing with like in any real creative industry.
I guess that means it's my turn.
Actors first, Mr. Bosco.
Yeah. I know. I hate you.
I hate you more. Go on.
Yes, you. I don't know. We'll see. We can fight about it later. But I'm the rarity in, I guess you would say, in this business. I didn't really want to do it when I was a kid. I would always goof around and play pretend, and believe it or not, I actually grew up on stuff like the Looney Tunes and Rocky and Bullwinkle, like some really old stuff that was way before my time. And even today, like, I look at some of the stuff that I do, and I'm like, oh, some of my comedic timing is actually from Rocky and Bullwinkle, like that whole breaking the fourth wall thing. But as a kid, I never really thought about it. And as I grew up, I was always a huge sports fan, and I thought I was going to be the next Michael Jordan. I realized pretty quick, like in 6th, 7th grade, when I was in Catholic school getting beat up by preppy school kids from, the rival school, probably not the career path for me. Then I went to high school and, started playing in the public school leagues, and I was playing against guys that were getting ready to go to the NBA, and I was getting crushed. That ain't going to happen. So I had to change career paths. But I love sports, and I was like, oh, I could do broadcasting. I could be on ESPN. That's kind of the path I want to take. Started doing that. I loved it. But then once I graduated, I didn't want to leave Chicago, which is where I'm from. And so I was looking around for jobs in Chicago, and if you've ever tried to get into a career in a major city, it's really hard, particularly for something like broadcast, where the blueprint is you go to a small town in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, you go to a bigger town in the middle of nowhere, Florida, then maybe you go to Philadelphia, and then you work your way back to Chicago 7 or 8 years later. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to skip all those steps. So I started to think, well, maybe then that isn't for me. But during that whole exploration process, I found a site called the Voice Acting Club. And the reason I stumbled across it is because I was looking to get in touch with the Red versus Blue guys. Because I'd always loved their machinima stuff, and I loved the work that they did. And I'm like, it'd be fun to kind of help those guys out. I'd love to make people laugh. I kind of do it in real life anyway. And I never found them, but I found this site. And there was a bunch of, amateur voice acting projects that I tried out. I got into an amateur voice acting competition, and I ended up winning the thing. And it was at that point that I met this guy, Deven Mack, who's a real jerk and is just a mean person. And
sounds like a terrible person. Yeah,
he's a terrible person. But he actually gave me one of my first big online roles in this Flash animation called Hell, and it's actually an acronym.
Tran,
yeah, exactly. And so that was the first time where I was like, oh, I kind of have a knack for this. This was kind of fun. And I just kept doing that. And then in 2010, I interned at a company called Bang Zoom. And anybody who's familiar with anime has probably heard that name before. And I worked there for 3 months. I got to work on shows like Vampire Night and Durarara and Haruhi Suzumiya. And while I was working there, I got to interact with a lot of the actors. And, Kari Walgren would come in and Crispin Freeman would come in. And I would just kind of talk to them about how they got into the business and what their background was. And a lot of them had background in acting, and they had improv training, or they were stand-up comedians. Maurice LaMarche is somebody who I've always, really admired, and he got into it through stand-up comedy. So, but everybody had a performance background. I'm like, I don't really have that. I've never acted before. I don't do improv. I just kind of do what I do, and that's it. And then I heard this story from a guy named Steve Bloom, who a lot of people know, and he got into this completely by accident. And he didn't really have an acting background or a performing background. Had kind of a music background, but not really a big acting background. And so I found a couple other people that kind of got into it that way. And so in 2011, I really decided that this was something I wanted to do and pursue as a career, because I didn't want to look back in 20 years and say, what if? So I interned at Nickelodeon as a casting assistant intern thing. And so there I really started to learn the ins and outs of the business. I worked on stuff like The Legend of Korra and Kung Fu Panda and Tough Puppy, SpongeBob. And that was the major leagues. Like, I really learned what it took to have to be able to work for a company like that in a voice acting capacity. And so in 2012, I packed up my bags. I went home for Christmas, and I said, hey, Mom, Dad, I'm going to go to LA and give this whole voiceover thing a shot. And I'm still here. And, I met people like Lucien and Kimlin along the way. And, during that time, I got the opportunity to be involved with Dust. And Dust was kind of the first huge thing that I did. I mean, I had done other games and stuff before, but Dust was the first big one. And so it's always fun to kind of reflect back. And hopefully when we're all big superstars one day, we'll look back at Dust and be like, those were good times. So that's my long-winded story of how I fell into this completely by accident, because I have no business being in here. I have none.
Well, you're welcome anyway.
Well, thank you.
Deven?
Okay, so my involvement in voiceover I consider to be just an incredibly ironic thing, because I always grew up as the really, really shy kid who was just afraid to talk during class. I think I had days, sometimes weeks at school in middle school and high school where I literally would not say a word unless spoken to. Needless to say, I had a lot of days where I didn't say a single word at all because of that. But during that time, I was getting just really, really into cartoons. I was watching a lot of Dragon Ball Z. watching a lot of Looney Tunes, and there was a show I was really, really into called the Samurai Pizza Cats. And I got just really, really into hearing all these crazy, amazing voices. And likewise at school, I was hearing all these different voices around me all the time because I wasn't speaking. I became a really, really adept listener. So I became really, really good at imitation. And I became known at school eventually as the guy who did all the imitations. People knew me for talking like other students, talking like teachers. They didn't even know my real voice. And when I was looking up some of the cartoons online and anime like Dragon Ball Z, I realized, hey, wait a minute, there's a bunch of these voices, they're done by people, and on top of that, there's like one guy, Mel Blanc, was like every single Looney Tunes character. And that stuff was just blowing my mind, and I realized, hey, this is an actual job. Maybe I should try and do something like this, because it was really the first time I was really feeling a strong sense of confidence just about the vocal stuff I was able to do. So I took several workshops, I got with an agency, and at the same time I was also very active on Newgrounds. I was voicing a lot of Flash cartoons on there. I was on the Voice Acting Club, I was on the Voice Acting Alliance. And as luck would have it, I ended up getting my first TV show. It was called Grossology, where I did the voice of a character by the name of Lab Rat, which was pretty much just me just doing my own impersonation of Chris Tucker and just kind of twisting it to make it my own sort of thing. And then this is how I sort of fell into the directing side of things. I was one of the few people at the time who'd gotten really, really lucky and was able to jump from doing amateur online stuff over to doing professional stuff in the studio. And at the same time, a lot of the friends that I had met online, a lot of people who I thought were better than me, ended up giving up. And it just crushed me. It absolutely killed me to see that happen for so many talented people. People who follow gameplay commentary people out there might have heard of a fellow by the name of Germa. He was one of those people. He gave up for a long time, and he finally came back, and now he's doing great. But yeah, I realized once I started working professionally as an actor, I became a lot more passionate about helping people. So I naturally just sort of slid into the casting side of things, tried to help promote really, really great undiscovered talent, and just taught and did whatever I could. And I think the thing that I got the most casting practice through was a project by a good friend of all of ours by the name of Edwin Tiong, known as Omadon. He was doing the VG Cats adaptation with no name, and I'm going to say about on episode 8 or 9, he let me have freedom with the casting. I just started throwing all kinds of people in there, just having so much fun, showing off a lot of undiscovered talent, and it was great. And that's what I realized I was really, really passionate about, and it's been a blast.
Well, fantastic. It's pretty interesting. You've all sort of almost got a very different story, but almost similar in some sort of way. That's fantastic. This is more of a question for Devon, actually.
Okay.
When you were given the task of voice direction for Dust, was there something you had in mind for each character? So were there some key features you knew each character was going to have, or was there sort of more, I know Kimlinh, I know Lucien, I know Edward. I think they're already perfect for it, or was there sort of a process you had to go through?
Well, the interesting thing here is, from the get-go, I did not really know a whole lot about the story. I didn't know much about the characters. Initially, I was just given one character to cast just as a test to show, the kind of talent that I could provide and to see if it was the quality that Dean would be happy with. I was initially just given Mayor Bram, and at the same time, I was still trying to expand my talent pool. So I didn't have a lot of people who did older voices like that. So I spent a lot of time listening to demos on Newgrounds. I spent hours just combing through probably hundreds of demos on Newgrounds, on the Voice Acting Club, on the Voice Acting Alliance. Eventually, I came across this guy named Stephen Kelly. I think he was 19 or 20 at the time I had him audition for me. 19 or 20, out of Edinburgh, Scotland. The guy sounded like a 50 or 60-year-old. I was just in awe. And he ended up being, he was the person that I gave the top recommendation for, saying, you got to use this guy, Mayor Bram. And of course, they were floored by the quality of his work, with good reason. And so they gave me a whole bunch of other characters. I will say, usually when I look at a character's artwork and I'm given the breakdown that describes them, and some characters don't have art, but I'm still able to think, the first thing I think of is like, who does this remind me of? Either does it remind me of some sort of pre-existing cartoon character, or somebody, some sort of famous celebrity. And then I start to think, okay, of all the actors that I know personally, who compares to that the most? There were not many roles where I automatically said, this person is going to get that role. Fidget, however, was one of those roles. As soon as I saw that character, I said to myself, this is going to be Kimlin. This character just has so many quirky, out-there qualities, requires a very large amount of energy, needs to be able to just be really, really creative and fun. And I knew immediately Kimlin was going to play that role. I'd never really worked with her to a large degree before. So I had wanted to for several months, and I knew this was just going to be the perfect opportunity for me to be able to teach her a lot of things, for her to grow so much as a talent, and just show so much of what she's capable of, things that other people didn't know she could do, things that she didn't know she could do. So, yeah, I just love stuff like that. And there's a lot of roles that surprised me as well. Take Reed, for instance. We thought that character was going to be sounding maybe about 25 years old. Ended up going to a 15-year-old because he just captured that perfect spirit of just being a weird kid. And Michael Johnston, the immensely talented Michael Johnston, is a weird kid, but we love him. We love him, and he was just absolutely perfect there. So, yeah, we get surprised sometimes.
Awesome. This is a question broad to completely anyone who wants to answer it. When the basically the storyline and the idea of Dust Elysian Tail was given to you all, did you have any inkling at all, any idea of how much of a success it's become, really? Because it's sort of like the Wonder story, really. I mean, did you ever suspect it?
I can kind of sort of answer this. When I was helping Devin cast the game, because I was the assistant casting director, and I have to put it out there, he didn't need my help. It was very nice of him to let me help. But when we were casting the game together and going over stuff, I would constantly say to him and other actors, you know, this might be something special. I didn't quite understand the scope of how big it could potentially be. But there was just something, there was an energy about it that I felt. And I was talking to other actors when Mac was recording them. It would be really cool to see if this jumpstarts some careers, because for a lot of the actors in the game, this is their first major thing. So for a lot of them, this is the first thing they've ever done. They've done a lot of stuff online, but you're not going to look at that cast list and go, oh, I know him from this, or I know him from that. Lucien's one of the few exceptions. He had some prior professional experience coming in, but most of them were untested talent, and it was really awesome to get a chance to hear all of that, because we had a giant pool of actors, and we had to really whittle it down. And when you finally got to the final, I think it was 40 or 42, whatever the final number was, they're all top notch, and every single one of them has the potential to go as far as they want to go. But to answer your question quickly, no, I didn't know it would be as big as it currently is, but I had a feeling in my gut it could be special, because it was special when we were working on it. And I'm so happy that people are enjoying it, because at the end of the day, it's the fans that make something big. We can work as hard as we want and put hours and hours and hours into it, but if it hits the market and people are like, it's kind of dumb, I don't like it, it doesn't matter. So we owe that all to the fans and the people that continue to support it and continue to buy it and continue to show up for the interviews. And, dude, there's so much amazing fan art and just, comments on the YouTube videos. And I mean, people are creating original content just out of a love for this series. And it's really amazing to watch.
Awesome.
I do remember when I received the auditions from Devin, and I don't recall. I think, Devin, did you include the trailer for like the?
I did include the trailer on every one. That
Okay, yeah, because I remember watching that trailer and just thinking, wow, this looks gorgeous. This is just really, really cool looking. And I mean, just from that, I knew it would get some kind of following response. I mean, there's just no way. I'm just the quality. And again, it just looks so, so good. And I just remember thinking, man, I would love to be involved in any capacity. I will play guard F. It doesn't matter to me.
We had I don't think we had F,
Yeah.
but I think we had E.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah, I would have played guard E. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I would have been good enough to be guard E. But
No, E was pretty
if
solid.
not,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Well, then F would have been fine with me. But seriously, I would have been happy to do anything on that project because it just oozed quality.
And then you end up being the main character.
Yeah, funny how that happened.
Funny that, isn't it? Well,
Kimlin, you want to add anything?
When I first saw the trailer, I remember one of the first comments I mentioned is they were like, "Man, this is as pretty as the Vanillaware game," because of because of Dust's movements and everything. I am not an animator, but I do have a very big passion towards art in general, so I pay attention to how it looks and stuff. And it looked very pretty, and I was like, yeah, the presentation's really good. This person put a lot of care into this, and did I know it was going to be popular too? I figured that it'd be something like a cult following, but I did not know it'd be like crazy popular enough to cause all that fan stuff to happen. I just like, oh, okay, this is going to be popular-ish. That's nice. And then it's like, oh, whoa, that's a lot of fan art. I do have a gigantic folder on my computer with nothing but fan art. So I'm all like, yeah, here's the fidget section. Woo, all those fluffy fidgets. Look at them.
Is it basically one of those stages where usually when women get depressed, is get the ice cream out the fridge. For you, open the fidget folder.
The fidget folder. There are lots of very cute fidget stuff.
Right, this is actually a question towards you, Kimlin, actually. When I was, obviously for this I had to do quite a bit of research. When I was looking back, I noticed you did an audition for an MLP fighting game, actually. Fighting is Magic, where you played the character Rarity, I believe. I noticed during that, while I was watching, you pretty much went into fidget mode halfway through. So was the voice of that an inspiration towards the fidget character?
I think I recorded fidget before the My Little Pony thing.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
I think I did. I forgot when any of this was. That just sounds so horrible, but it's but yeah, so I believe that I recorded fidget before.
Okay.
Rarity.
That probably makes sense. Why
I might be wrong, but I will say that as Mac mentioned, high energy was one of my things, a little strange bit of quirkiness, and well, I can't exactly have Rarity without her higher points too. So there's that.
Oh, fair enough. I actually saw your audio setup with the it's like a spotty bag with like a foam on the inside. I'm happy to say that's essentially what my setup first looked like.
Oh yeah, that the whole porta booth. Mine's different now. It's just has this crazy mesh thing with holes in it, so it sounds less like I'm talking into a cup. But I know exactly what you mean. It's all right. We're all together in this pillow fort technology.
Build it yourself because you don't have the money for the real one.
Yeah.
It was
one day.
It worked, but it was like, I can't see the screen, but who cares? It sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right, no, I've just literally answered that question. Actually, okay, this was one actually that sprouted up because before I did this, I put up a video asking if anyone wanted any questions, and everyone wants to know if you actually have played the game yourself.
Yeah, I'm seeing that in the chat, actually. I've beaten the game. I actually beat it pretty quick after it came out because we were all pretty excited. So as soon as I got a copy of the game, I'm like, I'm going through this whole thing. Want to hear everything. And I actually had to play it a second time because the first time I was paying attention to like all of the beautiful artwork and everything, and I'm like, oh, I actually want to go back and critique how we did on everything. So I played it a second time for critique, but the first time, like, I was just mesmerized by the quality, and it was. I love it. I would play this game if I had nothing to do with it. Like, it's that good and that fun to play and that tight with the controls.
I did.
Yeah, well, and we thank you for it, and a lot of people did. Thank goodness. But yeah, I definitely have played through it and beaten it.
I have. It was mentioned earlier with Mac how working on the game was a learning experience as well as just showing off our finer points. And it's sort of like when you're in the middle of recording, you have a whole bunch of takes you're not sure would make it into the game. And also, like, I mean, there's that one. I know which ones he's laughing at.
Yeah, okay. I was about to tell this story.
I meant that I was going to play the game because it's sort of like when you're recording, you're not sure which ones will make it into the game. And sort of like, there are times I'm like, okay, do this thing. And I'm like, I'm not sure how it works, but okay, director, if you say so. And lo and behold, play the game. And wow, this sounds great. It sounds better than I would have done it if I just recorded by myself, huh? So it's like seeing everything in context, seeing basically you when you're directing one person at a time, it's like assembling an orchestra or a symphony with one instrument at a time instead of all at once.
Really
so I had to hear all that all at once and see, oh, that's why you did that to me. Even though we did, well, although I will say that later on in the recording sessions, we kind of ran out of time. We did record like 3 instruments of the orchestra at one time.
So Lucien, Mac, have you guys played the game?
Yeah, I played through it the whole game when I think I was home. I was with my girlfriend visiting her hometown, and we had an Xbox there because we don't actually have one, but they had one there. So we were like, okay, we're gonna take this time while we're here to play through this whole game. And yeah, it was really, really awesome. And I remember those last 10 minutes. I'm not going to give anything away for those who haven't played it, but the final scene in the game was so I remember it was so intense, and I was so on the end of my seat and just like, get through, oh, don't die, and then finishing it and just being like, wow, that was just truly epic, and really gratifying. So yeah, I'm just really proud to to be involved in such a well-crafted game that had so many great experiences and fun, really fun.
To echo what Bosco said, this is absolutely the kind of game that I would be playing even if I wasn't involved in it in any way. I was probably one of the last people in the cast or involved with the production to get to play it because I did not actually own an Xbox 360. So there were times when Dean and Alex and the Hyperduck guys were all talking about, oh, this stuff is working so well in the game. Oh, we need to tweak this. We need to tweak that. And I can't look at any of it because they can't send me the version that they're playing through. So I didn't get to hear a lot of the dialogue altogether for months and months and months because Dean Dodro, bless his heart, what a wonderful guy, actually sent me his Xbox 360 a few months later. So that's how I was able to finally play the game. He'd gotten a new slim version for himself, and he sent me his previous one. And yeah, I played the living daylights out of that game. I ended up getting every single achievement, many hours, and I loved it. It was something really, really amazing that I was just honored to be a part of in any way.
Well, fantastic. I mean, when Dust came out, I mean, I'm sure you're aware of a YouTuber, Total Biscuit, who actually did an announcement video of it when it came to PC release.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was actually how I came to find out about it, and how a lot of people did. And at this point, I was doing a lot of other series on YouTube, which is what I do essentially. So, and when that came out, I literally dropped another series to start it because this just looks good. This I have to play this. I don't care. I have to play this. And thank God I did it. Fantastic game. It's ruined other games for me. Essentially, I'm playing another game like that. Just like the story's not as good. I just can't do it.
The story I think is phenomenal. Like I absolutely love the story. Funny thing though, while we were casting this game, Mac and myself, we didn't have most of the script until right before we started recording. And even while we were recording, there were still bits and pieces of it that we didn't have. And there's if people are interested, I mean, we can go into more detail. But like it was. I'm glad the story worked out as well as it did, but I really wish we had it sooner.
I think we do need to touch on the crazy crunch time that happened during the last 3 months or so.
Insane. I will let you talk about it, but it killed,
sure,
killed a lot of people.
I will try to remember this as best as I can. I had been working with what I had of the script. I had cast several characters. I'm going to say the script was maybe about 70% done, and I had been working on casting and recording a lot of the side characters. And then the game went on display at the PAX Expo in Boston in April 2012, I believe it was. And at that point, Dean considered himself, I think, to be 70% done with the game as well, in addition to the script. The game was so well received, the little demo that was on display at PAX, that Microsoft guys said, hey, you want to get this into the Summer of Arcade thing that we're doing? I know you plan to finish the game in about maybe 10 months or a year, but you think you can do it in 3 months?
And Dean was like, I don't really think we can. And Microsoft was like, oh, okay, great, we'll expect it then. And he was like, wait a second. Hey guys, that's not how. Oh boy.
Now, here was the really, really, really tough part about that. Dean had not yet announced that the game was going to have full voiceover in it. So, if all the voiceover was not recorded within those 3 months and the script were finished for us to be able to record it, none of the voice acting was going to get in the game. At all. So that was a very, very, very crazy time, because at that point, I had only been recording side characters. I had not recorded Ahrah, I had not recorded Dust, I had not recorded Fidget. In fact, the only one of those roles that had been really and truly officially cast at that point was Fidget. So after a lot of crazy rushing, and on top of this, I had my own stuff going on with my acting career at the same time. I was doing, I think, 3 or 4 different shows. I was really heavy into recording for Beyblade. So there were times when I was on a train to get to my Beyblade recording session, and instead of looking at my script, I was editing audio for Dust characters on my laptop. And it was just outright insanity. But what it came down to was, in order to save time, once I had more of the Fidget and Dust script stuff was written up, I said, okay, I'm gonna try something that I got to observe a lot when I was working as an actor. I'm gonna try recording the both of them at the same time to try to help them develop their chemistry, to see how well things were gonna work and see if that would speed up the process. So I was doing a lot of that. It was nonstop insanity. I think there were days when I was probably recording 5 different actors in a day, and I had to readjust my... I didn't have a sleep schedule. I didn't have sleep because I was working with actors in, I'm going to say, 5 or 6 different countries. We had Australia, England, Scotland, I guess is sure, why not? Ireland, Canada, America. So I had to be constantly readjusting. I would be recording Mike Varker, who's in Australia. I'd be recording him at 3 a.m. in the morning, and then just a few hours later, I'd be recording somebody in the States at 10 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, a whole lot of insanity, but luckily, somehow I was able to make it through. And just the one last bit that I have to add about just how crazy everything was. During the very, very last day, I was recording and editing up to the very, very, very last day to get everything submitted. And on that last day, I had a recording session for a pilot for an animated series. And I was like, oh my goodness, I don't want to do this show. I don't want to go in and perform on this show. I have to finish Dust. But if I don't go in for this pilot, it could totally wreck my career. Okay, I'm gonna try and just totally finish all my Dust stuff, and then I'm gonna run out and try to make it to my session on time. I finished all my editing for Dust. I sent in the last bit of audio. I ended up missing my train. So I showed up to my recording session about 20 minutes or half an hour late. And at that point, I knew I had made the choice that I considered myself more of a voice director and casting director than an actor. Luckily, when I met the secretary at the recording studio for my session, she said, you know what? You seem like a pretty nice guy. I'm just going to say that somehow you got scheduled wrong, and that's why you're 20 minutes late. So, yeah, don't you worry about it. Nobody's going to be mad at you. Bless her heart, I am so grateful to that person today. I really, really wish I went back to that studio and could remember her name, because I would have given her a bouquet of flowers. I would have given her a box of chocolates. I would have given her $1 million, whatever. But it's just a lot of luck that this was all able to come together the way it did. And one last thing. Dean Dodrill discovered a glitch right before he had, when he was on his final day. He discovered a glitch that was preventing all of the audio from playing. In fact, the game would not even turn on. It's because there were just too many files. And once he took all the audio out, it worked again. Go ahead, Bosco.
Oh, I was going to say, I remember the conversation I had with him on Steam, because that's how we did a lot of our communication. And he told me, because I was asking for an update, like, oh, is the voice stuff working? He's like, I'm going to have to cut the voice work. I'm like, wait, what do you mean you're cutting the voice work? He's like, it doesn't work in the game.
He didn't even tell me that.
No, I didn't tell Mac, because I'm like, Mac's going to die. Mac will legit just roll over and die. I can't tell him this. We worked too hard. He almost died doing all this stuff. He can't, no. So I gave it like 12 hours for Dean to go to sleep, and it's a small miracle. I don't think Dean slept. I think he took a nap.
Well, yeah,
and he woke up,
this is what
and I guess he had it.
He took a 2-hour nap, and somehow he just reprogrammed the game in his dreams. And he woke up and he's like, I know what I have to do.
I know how to fix it. There's a glitch in the Matrix. And he just, he fixes the game, and it boots up, and the voice work works. And I told Mac that, hey, Mac, the voices stuff, it's all good. And he's like, all right, sweet. But here's what actually happened. I didn't even know
anything was wrong, yeah.
No, he didn't know anything was wrong. So I explained to him later that it was wrong, but I didn't want to scare him. I'm like, please just make it work, Dean. I was dying the whole time because it killed me. It killed me. Oh, my God. So there's that long story of how we almost didn't have voice work, but did, but then didn't, and then did again.
Oh, we didn't even touch on the part how we didn't have a Dust up until...
or an Ahrah. Okay, so this is... I will tell this story real quick.
We didn't have a Dust until about, I'm going to say, maybe 1 month left. But Ahrah went up until the final week.
Yes. So basically what happened is we did have a Dust. There was this gentleman by the name of Philip Sacramento, who's actually very, very good friends with Lucien.
Immensely talented man. I learned a lot from studying him.
I will go on record as saying this because I have no shame in saying it, with no disrespect to anybody else that I know. Philip Sacramento is the most talented voice actor that you do not know about. That is my personal opinion, but dear God, this man is insane. Needless to say, we had him cast as Dust. Mac and I had gone through our list of like 5 or 6 people. It was, Lucien was on the list. I was on the list. This really super talented guy by the name of Matthew Gadford, who ended up in the game.
Frederick Fox, yeah.
Yep, Frederick Fox, who some of you might know about. He was on our list for Dust, but Philip was the clear-cut favorite of myself, Mac, and the producers. The name shifted around a little bit, but Philip was always tended to be at the top. So we were pretty sure Philip was going to be Dust. However, when we were getting ready to start recording, Philip had some things going on in his life and had to bow out of the project. So now all of a sudden we didn't have our lead.
Also, we had Ahrah. Lucien was actually going to be Ahrah.
Lucien was going to be Ahrah. We had him cast. Yep. We had somebody initially reading for Ahrah, but then Dean kind of came back to Mac and said, hey, I'm kind of looking for this other type of archetype for Ahrah. I want to change him around a little bit. And Mac told me about it, and Mac and I both instantly went, this is Lucien Dodge. Holy crap. This is Lucien Dodge. We have to get him to read this. So Mac had Lucien read. He gave him the read and was like, yep, send that to Dean. And so
you're talking about for Dust?
For Ahrah. For Ahrah, because the character changed a little bit. Because I call him Protoss guy, but we originally had somebody else in mind for Ahrah. But when the character changed, it was something that Lucien was he did really well on, and we knew he was a good fit for it. So Lucien was Ahrah, Philip was Dust. It was going to be awesome because they're best friends, and the chemistry would have been great. Oh wait, we don't have Philip anymore. So Mac had to go back to Dean and say, hey, this is kind of the situation. We don't have Philip on Dust. What do you guys think? Here were the other options. This is what Bosco liked. This is what I like. And Dean came back and was like, I really enjoyed Lucien on Dust. And so Mac was like, okay, let me read him again and get some other stuff, and we'll see what we do. And he sent that off, and they were like, yep, we want Lucien. So now we switched him from Ahrah to Dust. So Lucien is the only person in the game to get cast twice. He was Ahrah, and then he was Dust.
He's that good.
So he's Dust now.
Or
so
that bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not a bad switch. You're going from one lead to another. So Lucien is now Dust, and Kimlin is Fidget, and we have no Ahrah. And so Mac and I talked about it briefly. We're like, so what do you want to do with Ahrah?
That was fun. That was
yeah. So for months we were just like, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll read somebody, and we're going through, and Mac is casting all these people, and we're casting other characters. And so we get down to like the last month of recording, we don't have an Ahrah. And so I start bugging Mac pretty hard, like, hey Mac, what do you want to do with Ahrah? And he's like, yeah, I'll just do it. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, I can do it.
Now, bear in mind, I absolutely did not want to. I had no intention of casting myself in the game. I don't like to be in things that I cast. So it was an absolute last resort, because we didn't even have we had very few people to begin with that we felt were any kind of fit in the role. Because we were so short on time, I wouldn't be able to hold new auditions. I wouldn't be able to direct somebody very heavily that I wasn't already in regular contact with. So yeah, I had recorded a sample of myself just to see what it would sound like, and my interpretation of Ahrah I based very, very heavily on Professor Charles Xavier from the 90s cartoon X-Men. I wanted something that was very cerebral but could also be very, very kind at the same time. And I said, okay, Bosco, here's 30 seconds of me testing out this Ahrah voice. I'm not really good at coming up with these special effect audio filters, so why don't you take that and try some things for me, and then we can show that to Dean and show it to the Hyperduck guys.
And so I took that audio, and I'm like, all right. So because we had also worked on filters for Baron Kane and for Fuse. And so Mac and I worked really closely with, we call them the Ducks, but Hyperduck is the name of the studio. We worked really closely with them, and Mac kind of trusted me to work with them, one-on-one to figure out what filters would work. Because we didn't want filters to overpower the voice, and we didn't want to alter them too much. But with a mystical sword, a ghostly husband, and an evil lizard with a mask, you kind of have to tweak it a little bit. So I took it and I played with the filter, but I didn't just technically play with the filter. I also went, man, Mac doesn't want to do this role. He wouldn't even be credited because I don't know if he's allowed to be credited because he's doing all this other stuff. I could do Ahrah. Right? I could do Ahrah. Right? I read for him. I could, maybe, should I do Ahrah? Yeah, maybe I should do Ahrah. So I was the crazy person that pulled up the whole script. I recorded the exact 30 seconds that he did, mimicking him completely, and then completely lost it for like the other 100 lines that I had in the game. And I sent him that whole file. So it was 30 seconds. It was 30 seconds of me being him, being Ahrah, which sounded great. And he was like, whoa, this is really wait a second.
I heard this. And I'm like, wow, yeah, he sounds really, 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 really great. This is amazing. And then the 30 seconds ended, and I'm like, this is the most boring stuff that I've ever. This is starting to sound like a guy in his mid-20s from Chicago who's gonna go play football in 5 minutes.
That's not all right. Like,
okay. And then I called him up on the phone, and do you remember exactly what I said?
You were basically like, so what are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? Did you not like the filter? It's like, no, man. You know what I mean? You know what? I remember I was walking to the bus stop. Wait, I don't. What do you mean, Mac? I sent. Did you not? I can fix the filter. He's like, don't. You're not stupid, Bosco. What are you doing? I'm like, oh, you mean the other stuff? Yeah. You know, I just figured, you know, if you wanted to hear the filter on all the lines, you know, you could pick and choose if it works all the way through. I was playing
hate you
stupid.
so much.
He knew what I was
knew
doing. He's
exactly
like,
what
he
you
was
were
so
doing.
mad because he's like, this is exactly what I would have done.
Because
and
you
I hate
just
you
listened
for
to
it.
me and you imitated it. Inflection for inflection.
Mac is the master of imitation. I don't do impressions. I don't imitate anybody. I can't voice match myself, but I somehow was able to match him. And he liked it, and he hated himself for liking it. So he's like, you know what, Bosco, fine, I'll do it. You're Ahrah.
But you're going to pay for this.
You're going to pay. I'm going to make you miserable.
Because I don't think you know what you're doing, and I am going to be tougher on you. Or no, I can't say tougher. I'm going to be as tough on you as I am on myself, and it's going to be magical.
We will spare you the details, but needless to say, I did struggle with Ahrah. It's not something that I do a lot. And Matt continued to pound into my head, hey, listen to Xavier, you know, listen to Shakespeare at all.
Listen to any Shakespearean actor who has ever existed.
So the first session that we did on Ahrah was a struggle. I mean, there was, I'm not even going to try to lie. I remember Mac kicking his feet up and being like, Bosco, man, if I were a drinker, man, I would be drinking right now. I think you got like a malt.
Yeah, I got some non-alcoholic thing. I put my feet up on my desk and I said, I'm pretending that I am drinking the hardest liquor imaginable right now because you have pushed me to that. So, now, bear in mind, this is the only time I have ever been that kind of director, and I was loving every second of it.
Oh, yeah.
But I am not like that with any of my other actors. I try to make everybody feel as comfortable as possible. Oh, yeah, I hate you.
Yeah.
I hate you.
But, you know, but it's funny because I look back on that and I actually wouldn't have it any other way because it was really good for me as an actor I'm
so you went to that Sato sort of stuff.
Yeah, it was like this. He's not letting me off the hook. He's really pushing me beyond my comfort zone, and it was a lot of fun, to be honest. I mean, at the time it was frustrating because I'm like, man, I need to get this. I can't screw this up. Lucien sounds amazing as dust. Fidget's going to be perfect. Everybody sounds great. I can't be the weak link. I'm a lead character. I need to get this right. And I remember after the first session, Mac laid into me, and he was like, you need to figure this out because I'm not afraid to take this away and do it myself because I know I can do it. So I spent about the next 12 to 16 hours after the first session listening to Xavier. I was reading Ahrah lines on the bus. People thought I was crazy. I went to work. I was doing it at work. I was fully invested, and I came back for that second session, and it was like night and day. And, you know, I mean, bless Mac for freaking sticking.
Yeah, you were a little better.
You were
kind of good sometimes. Sometimes
I was kind of good sometimes.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it ended up working. And when dust finally hit the market and people didn't rip Ahrah a new one, I'm like, all right, somehow we made that work. But I was not supposed to be Ahrah. I wasn't even supposed to be in the game. If I was in the game, I would have been Fuse because that was the closest I came to being cast. And I remember it was between me and Edwin, and I even told Max straight up, give it to Edwin. I'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I'll get something else. And that didn't happen.
Fuse was an interesting
also, Edwin's
character,
freaking amazing as Fuse. I don't want anybody else's Fuse. I love the way he sounds. So it was fun to kind of go through that process, and it was fun to push myself because I didn't want to let Mac and the rest of the cast down because I knew how hard and how good they actually were, and I didn't want to be that guy they found off the street. And it's just like, let them do it. It'll be awful, but at least everybody else is good. So it was. I take a lot of pride in that role, and it's probably to this date probably my favorite character that I've ever done. So
and I apologize take a lot of pride in. I take a lot of pride in the way I treated you.
I'm sure you did.
Well, I mean, to the credit of all of you, could not have told. There's no way I could have told, or anyone I don't think could have told that it was rushed at the end. It was flawless. But anyway, just because I've been spammed with this everywhere. Everyone is wanting you to do at least one line.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you know what? We've got a little something.
Oh, we're going to do this? Oh, this is happening.
Why don't we do that?
All right. I guess we could do this.
You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, let me get it up. Hold on.
An inkling.
Hold on. Okay.
Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Kimlin, you ready?
Kimlin's like, what? I forgot I was
died.
She's gone.
Kimlin's asleep. Just.
FYI, chat, I have no idea what they're talking about. So
No, you don't. But this is a little something we thought people would enjoy.
Kimlin, are you here? I haven't heard you.
I'm right here, dude.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
here.
you are ready with what I told you about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to know which line to know what.
Oh, geez. Here we go.
So, whenever you're ready, why don't you start off, Kimlin?
The very top?
From the
Oh, at
top.
the very-
Yeah,
yeah,
we're gonna go all the way through, and I'm not gonna direct you guys. So just go.
Oh, thank goodness. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Freedom, sweet freedom. Enjoy it. Cherish it.
Thank you, Gaius.
for now.
But not exactly.
Go.
You ready, Lucien?
Alrighty.
I think so. Well, hold on. Let me. I need to find the voice quickly. I think. Well, now that you mention it, this wait, is that it?
I think that's the voice. I think
There it
that's
is.
it.
Well,
Yeah,
That's
good
done.
creative choice. Good
Was
creative
it
choice.
Great points. Yeah, I might change it by the time we start, but okay.
That's all right. You know,
I'll
if you just
figure it
change the
out.
voice all the way through, that'll be fine. Like
All
you
the
don't
way
even have to
through.
do it the same way.
I'll settle on something by the time.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, here we go. This is Fidget Snow Scene, take 1.
Sorry, Dust. I don't think you're double jumping over that. Stupid avalanches ruin everything. Go ahead, name me one good thing an avalanche has ever done.
Well, now that you mention it, this might be a crazy idea, but maybe we can clear some of the snow off of that mountainside.
You mean make another avalanche?
That's the idea, yes.
You're crazy. I love it.
Really? Do I need to be the voice of caution here? Need I explain how creating an avalanche puts us all in danger?
It's really the only way, Ahrah.
Yeah, it really is. Is it?
It is.
There we go. Let's do this thing.
Okay, and then Dust breaks the pillar using his mighty sword, and then you go, Lucien.
Okay. Whew. Well, that did something.
It sure did. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking we find another one.
Huh?
That obviously wasn't good enough. We need to break more pillars.
Fidget, I think the bitter cold is creating lapses in your judgment.
That is ridiculous. I'm perfectly.
All over my tunic.
And then Dust destroys another pillar.
That's two.
Not enough.
Seriously?
No.
Aim for the face?
Yeah, take that. Well, we need to find another. We need to find more. We're gonna clear away that. No.
Stop, Fidget. Fidget, please just stop.
I think I'm coming down with something.
Yes, Fidget. We figured that out on our own. Come, Dust. Let us continue. Clearly, I'm
And,
surrounded by idiots.
and scene. You guys, that was terrible. I'm afraid you are all wrong. That was completely off voice. I'm kidding. I love you guys.
Aww.
Oh.
Should have gone with the first voice.
Yeah, you screwed it up, Dust.
I know.
Gosh, you had one job, Lucien. You had one job.
Sorry. No, it's a good thing I don't do this for a living.
It's
One of the
God.
I like what some guy named Kerbifer just said. Mac will be voicing all 3 characters himself from here on out.
Pretty much.
The
Oh,
I'm
director's
thinking about it. I'm thinking about it.
It'll be the
No.
director's cut of the game. And it'll
Just the
be all
director's
fake.
no,
Yeah.
it'll be literally the director's cut of the game because the director will cut himself into every role and he will just do everything.
Or cut himself. Wait, no.
Dust and Elysian Tail as brought to you by Deven Mack.
Speaking of Chris Niosi, go check out his series, Tome Terrain of Magical Expertise.
I was just
If
going to
you-
plug it. Thank you, man.
Yeah, why not? If you want to hear me treating Edward Bosco the way I treat him in this call and when we were having our directing sessions, you're basically gonna get that exact same dynamic in the cartoon. So check out
Pretty
his
much.
series. It's pretty
He's just-
awesome.
He's just a mean, evil person.
That I am.
Devon, I know for a fact actually that you do a pretty stellar Troy McClure.
Oh, wow. What? We just talked about
Somebody's
that.
done their homework.
Damn right.
Yes, you might remember me from a video that I did on YouTube not too long ago. That's one of the things I do, because again, I started out doing imitation. Another character I learned a lot from was Meowth from Pokemon. And one that I'm hoping can become my big thing at some point. I spent a lot of time talking like Barack Obama, President of the United States of America. Maybe someday that'll make me $1 million. But for now, I'm happy with what I'm doing. Voice directing's cool.
Actually, Lucien, you've got a good impression of Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon because it blows me away every time. And yes, I'm putting you on the spot.
Just a little bit. I haven't done it in a while, but yeah, Jay Baruchel, in his sort of classic sort of nasal quality. What's one of his lines? Everything they say about you guys is wrong. That's just pretty much.
That's, yep.
And Hiccup. Yep. Okay, Toothless, we're gonna go fly and do some stunts. I don't know what he said.
Okay, Toothless, we're gonna go whoosh, 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 whoosh.
Toothless, what's that? And it looks like a Nimbat? What is that in the horizon? It's weird.
And of course, Kimlin is like the greatest Pikachu ever. That's just what she does.
Oh yes. Check her out in what is it? Pokemon Paradox, Kimlin? Yes. By
which one? What?
Well, what's the recent one that you did with Josh
one.
Tomar and Jaxie?
I forgot the title. I think it's along the lines of something like Professor Oak's Nightmare or something like that.
Sorry, can I just interrupt quickly? Kimlin, your audio seems to be lagging slightly.
Anyways, if you want to hear Kimlin as a very, very awesome Pikachu, go check out a YouTube channel by very good friends of ours. It is called Jaximoto, featuring the very talented Joshua Tomamoto Tomar, who was the voice of Baron Kane in Dust. You will get to hear him as doing the voice of Professor Oak. And it is animated by his wonderful wife, Christina Tomar. So, yeah, check that out. Awesome stuff.
Tomamoto's in our cast if he thinks that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're okay now. Fantastic. Okay, anyway, continue.
You were Robo Fidget for a second.
Right?
As the chat is saying.
But yeah, going back to that mention of the whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Actually, Devin, you mentioned to me, apparently that wasn't actually meant to be used.
Oh, my goodness. That original line
There's a couple things that weren't supposed to be used.
There were. But that is one of the main ones, one of the most memorable, because the line was just supposed to be, when Dust starts swinging that sword, you don't want to be anywhere near him. I should know. And then Kimlin, in between our takes, was just fooling around and came up with that, whoosh, whoosh. Why don't you do it? It's your line. Exactly. Very good. And I said, okay, this is so ridiculous, but Dean told me he had already sent out all of the dialogue text to be translated into all these different languages, so I couldn't change any of it. So I figured, I'll just show it to him as a joke. He'll think it's funny. But he heard it and he's like, I gotta put this in the game. I'm going to pay more money to have this actually translated and put into the game. And I'm like, Dean, you are a crazy man. You are a crazy man, but you are a wonderful crazy man, and we love you. That's awesome.
Okay. This question is actually for Kimlin. I actually got quite a few people asking this. For some reason, I have no idea why, but they're asking how many animals you could imitate.
Huh? How many?
Considering that most of the characters you've done, from what I've seen, none of them have been human, from what I've seen.
You've been typecast, Kimlin.
I guess. Let's see, because I do have voiced humans, but for some reason a lot of them are animals. I think it's because I have a passion for animals, and it really shows. Since preschool, I've always mimicked animals, so I get it. I'm a wild child. I speak more with the animals than the humans, and for some reason, it's just to me. Yeah, for me, it's just. I don't know why. For some reason, it just subtly shows, because to me, a character is a character, human or not, and I guess maybe I don't let it get in the way. No. So it's just, for some, like in Kagemono, Bosco's in that one too, as he scares me in that cartoon. Kagemono and Shadowbug, I play Beelpup the fox, and acting is acting. I just act as a fox, and I know most people will not act when they think, oh, I can do creature voices, but they don't perform and bring it to life. So that's
Yeah,
pretty much it. I empathize. I feel I'm like, you know what? We're on the same level. We're home dogs. We can do this together, and it's just for some reason.
Kimlin, I've never heard you say home dogs
homie G.
before, but oh my god.
I like it.
Peace up,
I do.
A-Town down, East Side, West Side.
Oh my
Shizzle.
god, this is amazing. Please
And
tell
I
me
didn't
that's on
even
tape.
I didn't even teach it to her.
I know.
Oh, this is wiggity whack,
She's
dog.
street. She's so street.
Yo, diggity.
Oh wow, this is the 90s now. No, the reason why people know Kimlin for that is because she's actually very, very good at doing a lot of different creature stuff, hawks and horses and dogs and cats and nimbats. And Lucien is actually also, I've heard him do a lot of really, I'll just leave it at interesting noises that shouldn't come out of a human being before or ever. Exactly. That's what I mean. So it's. If you think about it, in the voiceover industry, there's people like Frank Welker and D. Bradley Baker who are kind of like the go-to guys for that kind of stuff, and more so now, Fred Tatasciore is also doing a lot of it. But it's just something. I mean, all three of us actually do it, and it's fun. But D. Bradley Baker was the one that told me this, and I agree completely. The reason why they hire a human to make animal noises is intent. So even when you're playing an animal with no dialogue, it's just growling or grunting or hissing or snarling or whatever it might be, there's an intent behind what you're doing, and it's that intent in acting that they're hiring. So when they bring in Lucien or Kimlin or myself or Dee or Frank or anybody to do a creature noise, they're looking for that acting. So if people are interested in doing it, it's not just about growling, it's about why you're growling and what the intent is behind that noise that you're making.
Because otherwise they just use the sound effects CD.
Exactly, and it's easier to just go to a stock.
Sure, and cheaper.
It's much, yes.
Well, fair enough. I suppose that answers the question. So I've got a list of questions. I'm just trying to go through which ones we've actually answered because.
Just pick the good ones. There's only the good ones.
Well, I've got quite a lot, but
Only the fourth one.
we keep answering. We keep answering ones in other questions. I'm trying to. Right. So while I call Kimlin back just to see if it sorts it out, there were a lot of questions asking what your personal favourite line during the cast was. Right. I'm just going to call you back, Kimlin.
Yeah.
Huh?
Your favorite line during the game, Lucien?
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
Oh, mine or her favorite?
Yeah,
I don't know.
everyone's.
Favorite
Everyone's.
line.
Oh, so
Your
it's
favorite
we're
line.
trying to clear up the crazy thing.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was. There were
Yeah,
sounds
it's
going
better.
on, and I was like, "What is going on?"
Improv, Lucien. Do your job.
Improv.
That's good.
Favorite line. I don't know. It's hard to beat Fidget's. I mean that. I have
Well,
to say that.
I meant for your character.
Oh, for my character. Well, the whole scene.
I
with
know
the,
what it is. How do you not know what it
the,
is?
The fidget doll. The whole scene with the fidget doll,
yes.
and then being like, "Oh, what? It looks just like you." No, I think I'm gonna hold on to this one forever.
Yes.
Oh yes, there was a very specific reason why I made you do like 9 takes of that line, because I knew if we had it just this one certain way, it was gonna be the thing that we were gonna quote all the time. And I know there's some people who think that I took that from My Little Pony, but I actually don't really watch the show, so I don't know where it would have come from. I actually got that Forever read I got from a cartoon by Harry Partridge, Happy Harry. He did a thing called Johnny Depp in Burtonland. Mr. Depp, welcome to your new home forever. And I thought that was the funniest thing ever, and I'm like, I gotta put that in this game. And I did.
Fair enough. Extending the actually, before I extend the question on to everyone, Mr. Bosco, have you ever been told that you sound exactly like Michael Pollock?
Really? Wow. You don't know how funny. Can I tell the story, Mac?
What?
About
with
what
regards...
Pollock was up for, and it was
No.
Okay. No. Oh, I want to tell that story. I don't think I sound anything like Michael Pollack. I'll be honest. I don't hear it at all. But thank you, because he's like an awesome Robotnik.
Yeah, I interviewed him previously.
He's
a friend of
I
mine.
love him as Robotnik.
Yeah.
And he's really, really talented. But yeah, I'm flattered you would think that. I don't hear it, but I don't think I sound like anybody because I'm weird. But thank you. Yes, yeah, that's a good guy to be compared to, man. He's awesome.
Well, who wouldn't be?
I know, right?
But yeah,
I'll be
anyway,
Robotnik any day.
anyway, yeah, the previous question extended.
Go ahead, Kimlin, ladies first.
It's really hard to pick a favorite line because Fidget had so many comedic opportunities. So because because that one was it's kind of weird how it wasn't a line, but it became a line. So that's pretty much my favorites because it was just born from being really caught up in the character and it just came out. Let's see. There's just so many of them. Like people have a whole like let's see. Can we just transcribe the entire like Fidget compilation, remove all the spaces, and make that one word, one line? Because it's really hard to say. I really like a lot of Fidgets. It's just so much. She's just like a lot of fun. I can't choose one. I'm sorry. I totally ruined this question.
I imagine actually with Fidget, I mean, towards the end, it was it was very full of sorrow, and obviously with the ending, and try not to ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but Jesus Christ, the end of that! Oh, I had no idea that was happening.
Yeah.
But yeah,
She had an arc, and that's what made her really, really fun to play. So it's not like a straight line or anything. She actually has her highs and lows, ups and downs, give levels aside from her comedic moments.
Not only was Fidget growing as a character throughout the story, I felt that it was also you growing as an actor as we got further along, and you began to just pick up on a lot of things just quicker. Your instincts became better, and it was amazing. And yeah, I'm really just so proud of the job that all you guys did.
Oh.
If I'm gonna pick out, I guess, some of my favorite moments, which again is really, really hard. It's like almost like picking out a favorite child. I would say I really, really like that that cutscene that Lucien has when Dust is getting ready to confront General Gaius, and I called it like basically the Batman scene because I was saying, Lucien, hey, be more Batman here. The whole I am justice incarnate, and Lucien just totally nailed that. Made him come off as just such a cool guy who's not to be messed with. Another moment that I really, really, really liked that I was just so impressed with what she delivered. Lizzie Freeman, during some of her last lines that she gets when she's reflecting about visiting those snowy mountains and building a fort with her father, and man, that was just felt so genuine, felt so heartfelt, that Bopo scene. I was just so proud of it, and she did a great job.
Oh, that scene! My God, whoever came up with that scene is a bastard. I think that was one of the first points during the game where it was like, wow, okay, yeah, I thought it was good at first, but now this is just something special. This is something because no one could have suspected that. Usually, I was honestly expecting, oh, okay, he gets up, he's all alive, it's all happy-go-lucky, but the end of that episode when I was recording that, I was literally speechless, and that's a big issue for commentary.
Yeah, you can't just be going, this is so sad, ah!
You can't say what you're feeling, that makes me angry.
Yeah. I'm confused inside. But yeah, who wasn't?
I guess it's my turn.
Yep.
I'm going to cheat because I have a favorite line for all of them.
Oh,
my favorite Fidget line is probably we're going to clear away the snow. If for no other reason, then that was one of those lines where they weren't actually recording dialogue for the game. They were just in between takes. And she ended up just doing the line as a joke.
That was actually that was Kimlin as Kimlin to some extent. So I had to actually pitch certain parts just to get it a little higher in tone, more into the Fidget part, more into the Fidget voice, but still, that was Awesome.
So I think I like that might be my favorite line for her. That or, well, why don't you guys start a stupid hat club? Which with the hat
It's
on
called
on
Team Fortress 2, I believe.
Yes, and if you're the dragon hat, you're
Hello.
more than welcome to join the stupid hat club. I think you'd be a great addition.
Yeah, in fact, I'm sorry, you did not know, but I in fact own it. You did not know this. You may join. You may join.
Yes. Let's see. My favorite Dust line. It's probably the Forever one because we're always quoting it. So that would be it. And my favorite Ahrah line. My favorite Ahrah line might actually be the one you guys just heard, which is the really, do I need to be the voice of caution here? Because it's the one time in the game where he gets to be the funny man and totally out of character. It's like, hey guys, are you really that stupid?
I was just,
And he
yeah.
never does that. It's either that or the other line you heard, which is where he kind of makes fun of Fidget. Because he's not a really mean person, so he doesn't make fun of people. But those are two instances in the game where he's just completely out of character, and it was really, really fun to do.
That well, yeah. It did, I have to admit, during that, it was kind of like a shock to the head when that came along. It's just,
Yeah.
you're usually the voice of reason.
Yeah, and then he's just like, hey, Kimlin, handle your business. What are you doing? But yeah, those are mine.
Yeah. On
And my
top of
favorite
that,
line for Mac is the part where he doesn't talk. I love when that doesn't
Right,
happen.
I hate you so much. Speaking of hate, there's a character that a lot of people hate, but for the right reasons. Gianni. But
Johnny's amazing.
he's one of my favorite characters because pretty much every single thing he says makes me laugh. All the time. I can't be running around outside myself. Those monsters, they are dangerous. It's just this ridiculous, over-the-top accent that I adore. The actor's name is Andy Dennis. He's known for his series called Q-Boy. Immensely talented actor, great writer, wonderful person.
I can't imagine anyone picked the nice option first time round.
No, I didn't.
I
was
didn't.
like, nope.
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 I'm a nope out of the niceness.
Well, Fidget ripped his face off, essentially.
I guess, yeah, so good. Oh, speaking of ripping faces off, we haven't, does anybody know about the comic?
Yes.
You guys, the comic?
Oh,
yes, I was about
yes.
to mention
We
that.
have to touch on the comic if people haven't seen it. So, Mac, first of all, where did it come from and where is it now and what happened to it?
Okay, I will talk a little bit about the background of that. So I think this was when the script was still being written, possibly before I was even involved with the game. But Dean was just sort of thinking about how he wanted his main villain to be designed and how he wanted him to behave. And it reached a point where Dean was just like, this guy is too stereotypical and dumb. He comes off as just some like Count Dracula wannabe. So I'm just going to make a comic where Fidget eats his face off. And so he made that comic. He didn't make it public for a long time, but he did show it to me. He showed it to me, and I looked at it. I'm like, you know what? I want to put voices to this. I think it's gonna make Dean laugh. It's gonna be a really pleasant surprise. So I finally released that on YouTube not too long ago. It is called One and Fidget King. If you type that into YouTube, you will find it.
It's actually up on the screen right now somehow. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm
fascinating.
showing it now. I've not got the audio on. I was just waiting for you to finish.
Okay, I guess you can play it as soon as I finish. But the background on that, I ended up doing I actually do 3 voices in this, but I ended up doing the voice of the king, specifically because, you know what? That's a secret. I'm not going to say why. Why don't you play the video?
No, don't ruin it.
Okay, I'll play the video then with the audio.
Yeah, if we could do that.
Fidget, be careful. You don't want to mess with this guy.
Can you not see? Your attempts are futile and will lead only to... Wait, what's she doing here? What manner of... Oh, not the face, not the face!
Tui. Look at me! I'm the king! All shall bow before me forever!
Not again.
Check out Duck.
Amazing.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Genius.
Needs more aura, but brilliant.
So you wish. I want to note really quickly just a bunch of references that I was sort of able to sneak in with the stuff that Kimlin is doing. The is actually a reference straight from Cow and Chicken, an episode called Journey to the Center of Cow. And
I remember
with
that
these,
episode. Oh my god.
and then with all the sort of biting, crazy noises, I have her, I think the first thing that she does is sort of actions that her character, Granda, from Tome, Terrain of Magical Expertise, she makes those kind of crazy noises. Then after that, we have her doing the nom 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 from her character, Misfortune from Skullgirls. And then we finish off with a little bit of Paper Jam Dipper from Gravity Falls. Because, why not? It's a fun show. If you haven't seen it, you should.
I noticed with the lines that they were sort of detached from each other. I suspected in some way that you'd taken them from somewhere, but I obviously didn't know where. But yeah, it was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, just great stuff on Kimlin's part. She was just, again, as soon as I saw that character, I knew it had to be Kimlin because there is nobody else who can deliver that level of crazy as far as any actress I've ever met. Whether you're talking like professional veterans or people online, I knew that character had to be Kimlin.
Okay, well, moving on to the next question. You mentioned earlier about, you obviously know about all the fan art and the fan music, etc. that have been created, the remixes. Out of all of them, is there any particular one which has caught your attention?
There was one actually that I just saw. It was a piece of wallpaper. Because a lot of people were asking for like desktop backgrounds and stuff, and Dean posted about it, and it looked amazing. Like I haven't seen a lot of wallpaper. Like I've seen just a lot of art in portraits drawn, but it just really stuck with me. I don't know why. I guess it looked really good and it stuck with me, and I don't see a lot of wallpaper, but that was one. There's so much fan art. Like there's a couple that I vaguely remember. I mean, maybe these other guys have specific ones, but the wallpaper definitely stuck with me.
One of my favorite artists with a lot of dust fan art. I think they might be from Russia. I don't remember for sure, but they go by the name Yellow Fox, which I believe has one L in it, and they have this really, really unique style that's heavily influenced by Dean, but they still take the characters and make it their own at the same time. It's this sort of very polished, very sort of shiny, anime-ish style that's still not quite anime-ish. And there's another person who kind of does a more cartoony take on the characters, and they have a very awesomely funny name as well. They go by Bork Laser, and I absolutely love their take on the characters.
What about you, Kimlin? You're the one with the folder of it.
It's just sort of like, I'm all like, what am I supposed to go by name now? Oh, crap. Because,
just pick one and describe it. I don't.
It's like we're talking about just favorite fan arts. Is fan works?
Anything really. In fact, actually, before you mentioned that, I don't know if you've seen, but there is actually someone's just linked it, a Fidget plushie someone's made.
Yes, I do have. I'm kind of like. I have 2 Fidget plushies in my room right now. I'm holding one of them. So I'm like, okay, take that. We have Fidget dolls. I will keep forever. But it's, man, I can't pick one. I just like all of them. That's why it's all in the folder.
Oh,
it sounds like a cop out, but it's sort of like, no, it's true. I like all of the Fidget arts. It's all in my Fidget folder. To swim in all the Fidgets.
I think we need to quickly tell the story. I don't know if Lucien, I don't know if you know about this. The story about the very first Fidget plushie and how Kimlin was able to receive it.
Nope.
Here we go.
A very, very funny thing. So a whole bunch of us on in the cast and Dean on the staff, we saw that go up on eBay. And we said, man, we got to get this to Kimlin. If anybody should own that Fidget plushie, it should be Kimlin. So what Dean decided to do, and what Edwin and a few other people decided to do, was they were going to try and bid for it. and Dean was just going like crazy, like man, oh man, oh man, this one other person really wants it, and Edwin's thinking, yeah, this one guy I'm bidding against, he really wants it. Who is this guy? They were bidding against each other. We had basically a tug of war between the game's creator, Dean Dodrill, and Fuse, outbidding each other for this Fidget doll to give to Kimlin, and they never told each other. And it was so the real winner, there's two winners at the end of this. Kimlin and the seller of that doll. But regardless, it all worked out in the end. Kimlin's got the doll, and yeah, awesome. In conclusion, teamwork, communication, good things, always. I should have been directing that bid.
You should.
Oh, fantastic.
We have too many stories about this game.
No, seriously, go ahead. What was the other one? Out of, I think we'll step out for a second. Out of all of the roles you've done, because I've checked into your past creepily.
Whoa, wait a second. I don't know you like that. Who you? What?
Operation.
So you were the one at the window.
Yeah.
That explains.
Wait, he was in. Oh heck no.
Wow. At the same time too. That's talent.
Yeah. How did he do that?
See, at that
That
point, you
is
should just be
really
impressed
good.
and let me in. But
I'm very impressed.
anyway, out of all the roles that you've done, because you're essentially all seasoned voice actors at this point.
Oh, it's so kind of you to lie to me like that. Oh man, I feel so good.
Don't worry, your check's in the mail.
Yeah, out of all the roles you've done, which has been the most? Yeah, which has been the best for you? Which is really giving you the most? I'm trying to figure a way. Just say your favorite. I'm trying to think of a way to word it.
Oh boy, the favorite role. Okay, this is always a weird question.
So
let me think about
to
it.
ask us because
Yeah.
some of.
I'll tell you what. How about this? Why don't we make it a role that you really enjoyed doing? Not to assume that you didn't enjoy all of them because they all paid you money, but the one maybe that stuck with you, or you really had a really fun time doing, or more fun than I don't know. Figure something out. I'll think.
That's pretty much what I meant. Yeah, go ahead.
I voiced this character in an anime called Fate Zero, which is I would say one of my favorite roles that I've played, just because the series itself is just really, I mean, as far as production values, the story, the writing, the characters, the animation, the music, I mean, just all just really just a notch above, you know, the most of the other anime titles that I've seen over the last several years. And I play a character named Waver Velvet, who is this young, aspiring mage who is seeking to validate his talent. And in the beginning of the series, he starts off as this kind of like whiny, insecure kid, and then over this course of the series, and again, there's this holy war grail. Was it the holy war grail? Holy Grail War. That's what I know. I was dyslexiing it up.
You're only on the show. It's okay.
I'm only on the
place.
show. Exactly. Again, that's going on, and he, through the course of the series, really grows as a character, and it's not just this two-dimensional cutouts, which you know is very common to see in not just anime shows, but just TV shows in general. I really felt like that character was, as is I think all the characters in that show, was really well fleshed out and really grows and develops over the course of the series, and there was a lot of great colors to play with as far as his personality and the context that he finds himself in, situations, his relationship to various characters. It was really, really gratifying and rewarding to see that character progress over that series. So that's one of my favorites at the moment, and is airing currently on Neon Alley, a service where you can watch all sorts of dubbed anime including Fate Zero, and
You're all over Neon Alley. Let's just be honest. Like that's
I'm
the
a few-
Lucien
I'm in a
Dodge
few
show
shows.
on there.
I'm in a few shows on Neon Alley. Fate Zero. I play Takumu Mayuzumi. And Excel World, which is by the same creator or writer at least as Sword Art Online, which is another series that I'm in, and actually, and Ed is in as well.
Yep, and that's on Toonami, which is cool.
That's going to be on Toonami. That's
I don't know about you, but I grew up on Toonami, and I don't know if you feel the same way, but like being on Toonami now, even if it's just a small little like, oh, that was me, I heard myself, just for a line, it freaks me out. Like it's so weird.
Yeah. Actually, to briefly bring it back to Dust, just speaking along those lines of like, oh man, how surreal when Toonami did that plug for Dust, and they showed a little clip of the cinematics, and it was and my voice came on, and it's sandwiched between Steve Bloom as Tom. That was a bit surreal for me. I thought that I really got a kick out of it.
Yes, I remember that because I was sitting at home, and I think you guys were at a party or something.
Yeah, we were actually
at
Jeremy.
Jeremy's. Yeah, it was actually it was at Jeremy's party, and so I was sitting at home doing nothing like I always do, and I saw it on Toonami, and I remember I think I called you or Erica or Sarah or somebody. Dude, it's on Toonami. Dust is on Toonami. Guys, Steve is talking about the Tom. And I remember I emailed Steve, and I was like, oh my God, Steve, I can't believe you guys reviewed Dust. And he was like, oh yeah, the game was really cool. By the way, did we say the name right? Because we're not really sure how to pronounce it. And I'm like, oh man. And we had this back and forth about how the guys in Atlanta were like, is it an Elysian Tail? Is it an Elysian Tail? Is it this? Is it that? And they got it right. I believe they said Elysian Tail, which is how we...
Even now, we are not totally sure, but I can say this much. Every time it's said in-game, it's spoken like Elysian, like Elizabeth. So I made it, that's completely consistent every time. But it is, at least, it's canon that Fidget does not know how it's pronounced. If you've seen the Making of Dust video from PAX earlier this year, then you will definitely see that.
I didn't mean to totally go off on a tangent, though, Lucien. So yes, you're on everything that's on Neon Alley, you were saying?
Well, I don't know about everything, though. I'm on quite a handful of shows, at least at the moment. Fate Zero, Excel World, Tiger and Bunny. I'm in a handful of episodes. K, it's just K, or as Patrick Seitz would say, Potassium K.
Potassium K.
It's about vitamins. I play various roles in that, and it gets my press agent from the other room is letting me know I'm in.
Thank you.
The most recent Naruto movie, The Lost Tower.
To be fair, both your press agents told you about that one.
That's true. That's true. I'm in the recent Naruto movie, The Lost Tower, as
I play Sarai. It was like this plucky little kid, and he's, I don't know, just kind of a funny little guy. Fun little kid.
And yeah, that's off the top of my head. I think that's the recent anime credits, at least, come to mind. But yeah,
Neon Alley featuring Lucien Dodge.
Neon Alley, yeah. If you get Neon Alley, you can expect to hear me probably at some point in some of those shows.
Devin, is that you in the chat, by the way?
Yes, that would be me.
Okay,
DMAC
okay.
SPC. SPC standing for Samurai Pizza Cats. Because why not?
Because it's amazing.
Because it's the greatest show ever.
You mentioned there was no announcement of a sequel, but I seem to remember there wasn't. Didn't Dean mention that it was very highly likely there was going to be?
I'm not going to speak on Dean's behalf.
Fair enough.
Really, the most I can say is that he's got ideas, and there was stuff that was not able to make it into the first game we would definitely love to build upon in the second game.
Well, we would all love to see one. Definitely. But
I will say that a big thing that Dean, because I actually talked to him about this when the game was over, because I'm like, hey man, I'm not gonna lie, this was a lot of fun. he wants to kind of give himself a break from the universe and maybe try some different things, which I totally understand as a creative person. You don't want to just kind of lock yourself in. You want to explore a lot of different stuff. And I believe he's actually currently working on something right now that's not Dust related, and he's having a really good time with that. But I will go out on a limb and say I will be surprised if you never hear from these guys again. I would be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see this being, you know, I forgot what the saying is, but what's the saying? I can see this being the thing he's known for, essentially.
Yeah, it could be the thing that launches, you know, Dean Dodrill and Humble Heart Studios. Absolutely, yeah.
How did you? I mean, we've mentioned Dean a lot, but you know, we've not actually come across this. But how did you actually first get in contact with him? How did it all happen?
It's all Mac's fault, so he can start.
Okay, at the time I had just come off of directing a Flash game for a good friend of mine named Jeremy Bush. It's a game on Newgrounds called Hunter's Relic of Stars. And it was my first time directing something that was kind of big. By that I'm going to say it was about maybe 300, 400 lines. So that's about the size of maybe 1 or 2 episodes of television. And it's, I think people who like Metroid or Contra style stuff might enjoy that game a whole lot. I had a lot of fun with it. Really fun spaceship shootery, cool stuff. But soon after that had come out, there was a review. There was a very, very badly written review on a game by that same person. A game that was called Super Press Space to Win Action RPG 2009. The game was quite literally made to be a joke. It was reviewed by a 13-year-old kid who didn't know that game was a joke. So he was very, very, well, basically just imagine a 13-year-old banging on their keyboard and submitting that as a review. That's what
basically
you got.
Think of the internet is what he's saying.
I had to read it, basically, partly because the creator of the game suggested that I did, and also because I knew it would be a lot of fun. So I'm doing this totally over-the-top hammy stuff, going, you know, ... This game is so essy, you can't control anything but what it says on the screen, and doing all that sort of hammy stuff. And that video ended up going really viral and really big, and I was getting a lot of offers to do voice acting because of it. But I never ever take on freelance jobs, so everything that I was offered as a result of that, I just gave to other actors. Said, hey, you should use this guy. Hey, you should use that guy. But in the case of Dust, I was approached by Chris Guillen of Hyperduck Soundworks. And he was asking me to if I would like to do voices for this game, and he linked me to the trailer, and I saw it. I'm like, man, you know, this thing is absolutely amazing. But you know, I would not want them to have to like pay ridiculous union rates to use me. And on top of that, I think it would just be a really great opportunity to show off all these great talents that are out there. So I said, listen, I want to cast this game for you. I want to get you some really, really great people. And Chris said, but are you sure? I mean, you're so good. We would pay. And I'm like, no. Trust me. Just trust me.
I was going to say, they must have thought you were insane. It's like, we're giving you work. No, I don't want it.
I'm like, Chris, I appreciate the offer, but like, I think this is really, really going to be for the best. And lo and behold, things spiraled completely out of control. The game, and like, I knew that it was going to be a lot of dialogue, but I thought maybe 500 lines. I thought maybe 10 or so characters. The game ended up having 1,700 lines of dialogue, 40 different characters, or rather 40 different characters, I think, and 39 actors, I believe. I think I must have auditioned roughly 180 people. But I was just all able to come together in the end after a lot of hectic craziness, and I wouldn't have it any other way, the way the final result turned out. I certainly wish it was a lot less hectic and stressful on the way getting there, but I'm really, really proud of what we have in the end.
Yeah, and as far as like the way I got involved with the game, it was Mac extending the hand down. So I believe it was when he was looking over people to play Mayor Bram. He just sent some stuff my way. He was like, "Hey, what do you think of this stuff?" And I listened to some of it, and I gave him my opinion. And as should be noted, I loved Stephen Kelly. I'm like, yeah, he's perfect.
Wonderful.
And so when Mac finally took on the official role of casting director, he came back to me and he was like, "Hey, do you want to help me with this?" And I was like, I mean, I can. Do you really need my help? And in typical Mac fashion, he's like, "No, not really, but do you want to do it?" So I'm like, "Yeah, okay, buddy, I can do this." And so then through Mac, he told me about Dean and he told me about Chris and all the, introduced me to the staff, and he's the only reason I was ever involved with the game. I'm sure he would have probably had me read whether or not he asked me to help cast, but I would have not been involved in the game if Mac had not done ... So it is because of ... that I am here.
Oh,
somehow.
and I need to add this because this is a really, really neat thing. So ... the animation of it was done, I think, about a year after I had actually recorded the audio file. The animation was done by a very talented fellow by the name of Mick Lauer, also known as Rice Pirate. He ended up being in the game as Elder Grey Eyes, leader of the Moonbloods, who also serves as the narrator of the intro of Dust. So basically, the animator of ... is now the narrator of Dust.
It comes full circle, guys. It comes full circle.
Mind
blown. Wow. Awesome. We touched on this a little bit with one or two of you, but obviously with any creative industry or any time you go into anything creative, really, you're going to have inspirations. So for all of you, were there any big inspirations of voice actors before you?
Kimlin, I'm going to let the lady go first.
Why not?
Let's see. For me, when I first started out, I was a big fan of Laura Bailey's performance as Toru, but what kind of like eventually when I learned how to basically over time you develop a bigger appreciation with what people do. I began to really appreciate the energy and the, let's see, everyone knows Grey Delisle's Royal as Azula, because it's sort of like there are like different levels to the character. It wasn't just oh, she's just mean and snarky or anything like that. So it's sort of like I was inspired by that. And there's just so many more voice talents out there, but it would like take forever to name every single one of them. But beyond the people who are already making it big, I'm also inspired by my fellow peers because, like me, we all offer something new and unique to the table. And instead of just keeping to the eyes to the stars the whole time, which is not a bad thing, it's also good to understand that, you know what, they have something unique. They're all in this together. We have something unique, and we're pretty much seeing it like growing as fellow students and comrades and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm inspired by everyone. That's another cop-out answer, and I am so sorry.
And Kerber Chris would like to point out that you never answered the favorite role question. Thanks,
because my
Chris.
Computer melted. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So why don't you can answer that now before we move on.
Favorite role. This is another tough one because they all have something unique to offer. Yeah, and you guys said, you can't just always say that all the time. I'm like, sorry, but it's true. They do.
How
have
about that
something
one
unique.
fighting game that you're in? I forget what it's called. You're like a cat. What is it?
Misfortune.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, she was really fun because it's sort of like for the longest while I was trying to figure out because I was trying to break into more professional projects, for lack of better words, and it's kind of funny how indie games technically count because they're getting out there and all that stuff. But anyways, but yeah, it was my first time inside the big physical inside the studio, like by myself, and not just doing background incidentals or somewhat. It's just my first big role. And I didn't have to put on a voice or a character. They really did just cast me for my normal voice. And I thought, oh, wow, there is a place for me here. And it's just, to me, it was I really liked Miss Fortune because sort of like it let me be me, and I didn't have to put on a crazy voice. It was just she spouts puns, so do I, and basically to be more specific than say all the characters. I like all the characters that pretty much give me the opportunity to reveal an aspect of myself, or yeah, pretty much reveal. Oh my God, there's a fly. Oh, sorry. No, I didn't see that. It was crawling on me. But,
When it's not the spiders, it's the flies.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, every character has an aspect of myself, but some show more than others. So those are my favorites. It's scaring me. Sorry. But yeah, like Fidget gets to show off more of the quirky side. Miss Fortune just shows off that I don't have to put on a voice. I am me. Take what you will. And there are just too many. But if I had to differentiate, that's it.
Okay.
I forgot what the other question was now.
And
inspirations.
Lucien.
Inspiration. Yeah.
Since you already did all your favorite roles, basically anything on Neon Alley.
Well, we're talking about like heroes, like our personal voice.
Yeah, your personal voice acting heroes. Let's put it that way.
Well, I would be remiss not to mention the gentleman who has done so much for my personal growth as a voice actor and my career. Years ago, when I was explaining how I went on that research streak, learning all I could about voice acting, one of the sources that I came across was a veteran voice actor's website by the name of Corey Burton. And he had a message board, still does, a bit of a hiatus at the moment from answering questions due to his schedule. But at the time, and this is, again, it's mind-boggling for me to even think. It's been, like, again, over a decade since we started this correspondence. You could go to his message board and ask him questions about voice acting, the craft and the business. And he would, provided he had the time, he would answer it in a pretty punctual manner. And so I just started asking all of these questions. And this led to email correspondence. And at a certain point, he said to me in an email, he said, "Hey, why don't you just call me at home? And we can have this dialogue over the phone." And I was like, "What? Really? Okay." I mean, for me, it's kind of like an aspiring film director being told by Martin Scorsese, "Yeah, I'll just give you my phone number." I don't know why Martin sounds like a crank. All right, man, this is my old man voice. I know Martin doesn't sound like that, but it would be like Martin Scorsese telling an aspiring film director, "Yeah, just here, I'll give you my home phone number and call me.
Hey, this is crazy."
and we'll just chat. We'll just shoot the breeze, whatever. So I was very nervous, as you can imagine, the first time I called. But this, I would call him at home every few weeks or so, and we'd have these very long conversations about voice acting. But then they would always kind of diverge into other things and just about philosophy and just. Again, we just became very good friends, and I respect him a whole lot. I mean, he's a tremendous talent. If you don't know who Corey Burton is, all you have to do is IMDb his name, and you'll just see this just 10,000-foot sheet of credits spanning
like
40 years. Yeah, it really, really is.
Basically,
I mean,
a phone book of every
everything.
character you've ever heard.
He's done so much, and just a wealth of information. And what she was happy, and still is, if you ask him and just about the craft and loves to talk about it. And he really helped me and gave me feedback about my own performance and just giving me all sorts of advice. And now we're actually represented by the same top-tier talent agency, with the same talent agency that represents such greats as Rob Paulson and D. Bradley Baker, who we mentioned earlier, and Jeff Bennett and Jennifer Hale, and just all these tremendous talents. We're with the same agency now, and I even on a recent, relatively recent gig, we worked at the same studio, not together, but we were working at the same studio, and it's just been really, I mean, it's surreal how things have progressed. I don't think I could possibly have imagined it would turn out this way, and I'm just so grateful and feel so lucky to consider him such a close friend and colleague. So yeah, he would be certainly the top pick when I think of inspirations in our business.
Nice.
And that's the way it was.
Bosco, you want to go ahead?
I guess. Inspirations. Boy, am I allowed to have inspirations? I woke up in the morning and started doing this the other day.
Michael Jordan, right?
Michael Jordan is a big one for me. Okay. I mean, this is a weird question for me because I'll be honest, I don't really have heroes. The only hero that I ever have, and I know it's a corny answer, is my mother. Like, no joke. Like, that's my hero. But
That's a good answer.
yeah, like that's so. But I guess people that I look up to are people that I kind of steal from all the time. It starts at the top with, in my opinion, the godfathers of voice acting: Mel Blanc, Dawes Butler. For those who aren't familiar, Mel Blanc is the Looney Tunes. Dawes Butler is all the Hanna-Barbera stuff: Snagglepuss, Huckleberry Hound, Quick Draw McGraw. All that stuff was Dawes. And I grew up on a lot of those old school cartoons. Even when I was a kid in the 90s, there was a lot of that stuff still being aired on TV, and now they have a station called Boomerang where all of that old stuff was there. It's weird because Boomerang now is starting to become like Cow and Chicken and Dexter's Lab, and I'm like, whoa, wait a second, guys. Hold on. I'm not that old. Wait a second. But so Dawes and Mel is where it starts for me, but for people that are working right now, Frank Welker, for me, and I've never met the man, but Frank Welker is Freddy on Scooby-Doo. He is Scooby-Doo right now. He's the guy who does all the creature voices when Dee is not around.
It's worth noting he's been Freddy since the 60s.
He's been Freddy since my parents were probably going to college when he started doing Freddy. Like, he's a legend. He is our I don't know if Lucien and Kimlin and Mack feel this way, but he is our generation's Mel Blanc and Dawes Butler. Like, that's the pedestal I put him on. And as a person, more so than even as an actor, as a person, he is the most humble and down-to-earth and giving person I have ever met. There was a story I was told once where he taught someone in the booth how to growl like a lion. Because I don't know if you know this, but the Lion King, there's a video of him, he like is growling into this tin can. He did a lot of those sound effects, and he taught somebody how to do that. And I've heard stories time and time again from other actors working with Frank where he taught them tricks. Like, not like it's some big industry secret, like they're going to take his job. Just like, oh, you need to do this? Let me show you how to do it. And so a conversation about voiceover for me always starts with Mel, Dawes, and Frank Welker. And beyond that, I can give you a list a mile long of people that I really admire. But I think for me, those are the three that are professionally working. When I first started out, this is going to sound weird, the people I looked up to and the people I learned the most from, this person on the internet called Batgirl, who's better known as Laura Post, because when I started out, she was the shizzle, because she was starting to break into voiceover and starting to move away from the online stuff. This guy by the name of Lucien Dodge, who that guy.
What a stupid name.
What a stupid name.
What is a name
it's
like? What is
an
kind of
awful
name? Is
name.
Lucien Dodge. I know. God.
I remember being exposed to his work and just some of the student films that he had done and some of the other things that he had done that were floating around the net on Newgrounds. He did this. I tell you, he did this narration of the Big Bad Wolf, the story of Little Red Riding Hood.
Oh, Red Riding Hood.
As the big. This is probably what 4 or 5 years ago, and Mack is the one that showed it to me. And it blew me away because he does the entire narration, and I was captivated the entire time. And at the very end, it's revealed that he's narrating the story as the big bad wolf, but it's not until the end where he kind of switches it, and you can see, oh, he's a bad man. It was just that will always stick with me as a telling tale of how good Lucien Dodge is as an actor. So I looked up to those two. There's this other guy who I can't stand, but I mean, when you're good, you're good.
I wonder who you're talking about.
Yeah, there's this guy named Deven Mack who, when I first started out in voiceover, gave me
Deven
some
Mack.
of my
Wait, how can you
stuff.
have two first names? That's
I know,
silly.
it's weird. I love you,
How is that
Lucien.
possible?
But it's funny because those were three people that I really looked up to when I first, because I did my homework when I got to the VAC and the VAA, and like, who are the people that know what they're doing? And those were three of them. And now I have the distinct pleasure of calling them all really, really good friends. So not only are they people that I looked up to and people that have cast me and people that have recommended me for stuff, but now they're just good friends. And they're amazing actors. And the fact that I'm able to be in stuff and be directed by them and work with them, it's like a dream come true. So, I mean, Frank is cool, Dawes is cool, Mel's is cool, but, I got the best friends in the world. I mean, there's nothing more I can say.
He thinks I'm his friend.
That's cute.
Just wait till he finds out I haven't sent the check.
I guess I'm up next. With regards to my biggest influences, again, a show I've mentioned already, Samurai Pizza Cats, the lead actor, Rick Jones. As soon as I heard his demo, I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And the reason I love that show so much, it really taught me my style of comedy. Because what I love so much about not just the scripts, but also the acting, the show is basically written as a dub that was dubbed in a way to make fun of itself, to make fun of the character designs, to make fun of the ridiculous plot lines. And the actors have this incredible talent of taking things that are not funny on paper and just still finding a way to just twist the words and play with them and just to make a joke out of it, even when it looks like there's no joke there. And with regards to other actors that I would say I learned a whole lot from, there was a time in my life where I never ever thought I would be able to do anything that was not comedically styled, because again, I learned from Pizza Cats and I learned a lot from studying Chris Tucker. But it was actually something that completely changed my tune on acting altogether. Was something part of a collaborative project created by some fellows called Life Point One. They had a show on Newgrounds called Shin, and they had another series called Kazahana. And it was a collaborative project where anybody could make their own contributions. There were a lot of written stories. There were a lot of audio stories. There was a very, very specific one that was mixed by our friend Edwin Tiong, and was written, I believe it was written by another friend of ours named Gerardo Paz, known as G-Force, who's also quite talented, and he was in it as well. It was called 471. That's the name of this serial killer. And in this audio story, it has Lucien playing some just man who's running for his life, being chased by this unstoppable serial killer. And Lucien was giving the style of performance that I'd never really heard before. I'd never really taken notice of before. This guy just running for his life, sounding so desperate, sounding so sympathetic. There was just this great kind of screaming in fear, this terror, all this energy. I'd never heard anything like that before. And I said to myself, I gotta learn this style of acting. I gotta study this guy. And it's really crazy how then I ended up, so many years later, I ended up getting to work with him after learning so much from him to begin with. And it's just really cool how that circle again kind of comes together. And again with Edwin being involved in that as well, who also had a place in this game. It's just really, really cool how we've all kind of grown to be this big family over the years. So many of us have been involved in online voice acting. Some of us go as far back as like 2002, 2003, and a lot of us still know each other today. And it's it's just really, really cool what the internet is able to do these days in terms of bringing people together, in terms of helping people learn and just become better people and better talents.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, as you mentioned with the internet, it just allows creativity to flow in a much easier way.
Absolutely.
I mean, I was watching a podcast not long ago where they mentioned these were guys who did a bit of voice acting themselves, and the only way they could get criticism back was to literally send a tape to each other, and then they would get the comments back a couple of weeks later.
Wow.
But then when the internet came along, obviously they could do it in seconds. So it's quite amazing how that's all gone. By the way, if you guys ever want to take a break at some point, because I don't know what time it is for you over there, just
it's actually you that we're more worried about.
Yeah, exactly. It's Sunday for me. This is my off day.
I'm a gamer.
Yeah, you're 5 hours ahead of me.
I'm a gamer. I can stay up all night. I really don't
Okay.
No, okay, but okay. Well, if
we'll stay as long as people want to hear us talk. That's
I'll be
I'm
here
good.
forever then.
Well, let me ask you: would you like to take a break? Because
No,
if
I'm
you
fine,
would,
man.
then
I'm completely fine.
okay.
I can go on that. It's only 20 past midnight, so.
All right.
So, Mac, what's your favorite role, by the way? Because I'm actually curious.
Oh, yes, my favorite role. It's again, a really, really tough choice. I can only really narrow it down to two, I think. And first off, I got to go with one who's already been pictured here, Zeo Abyss from Beyblade Metal Masters. And when I found out I was going to be in Beyblade, I was thinking to myself, "Oh man, this is just going to be the most ridiculous thing. It's going to be, there's going to be no kind of story. It's just going to be selling toys and blah 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 and a bunch of crazy screaming." I was very, very pleasantly surprised with what I had in my character. He had a genuine arc. He grew as a character. He had motivations that made sense to me. His motivations were actually not about playing this spinny top game. He wanted to protect his friend that he really, really cared about. So, the fact that I really got to tell that kind of story, something that I'd never really gotten to tell before, I got to use a very intense kind of emotion I'd never gotten to use before. A lot of what I got to do on that character, then I was able to work into the way I was directing Lucien on Dust. When I'd see certain things that are like, oh, yeah, this reminds me of when Zeo had to do this and that. So, yeah, it was a really, really great experience. I really, really loved being a part of that show. And then the other thing, which I have also mentioned previously, for the online series Tome Terrain of Magical Expertise by Kerbifer, where I play a character by the name of Raccoon, who is a very, very wacky, very eccentric, cartoony sort of character, which again was never something that I'd ever had the chance to play in all my years. And basically the reason why I agreed to do it, because it was at the point where I was starting to very, very slowly retire from the online voice acting side of things. And Kerb approached me with the character, said he wanted me to play this character. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it on one condition. You let me do absolutely whatever I want. And first off, that is something I don't think a director should ever do, but I appreciate that Chris did allow me to do it. And I've had a lot of fun. I've been writing his dialogue. I've been making a lot of references, some subtle, some not so subtle references to a lot of my favorite actors and favorite performances and favorite TV shows. And at the same time, I'm getting to tell a very, at least I feel like it is. I'm getting to tell something of an interesting story with that character at the same time. So you've got this whole cartoony, wacky element, but there's something beneath that I've gradually been able to bring out and tell something that's a little deeper. So yeah, those two characters, both just really, really mean a lot to me. With there's definitely a large part of me in both of those characters, and it's been a real joy to be able to get to play both of them.
Oh well, fantastic. Okay, well, moving on to the next question then. I actually quite like this one. If you could choose to voice any existing cartoon character or video game character, who would it be?
Oh boy, this is.
Bring it
Oh
on.
boy.
Didn't we get? Didn't we? Get
We
this
got the same question at
uh,
Chris Smith's panel, didn't we?
Right, at
At
kanji,
kanji?
right.
Yeah.
And you know what? I actually thought of a better answer since
Okay.
that time.
Yes.
Because I explained how I got into voice acting essentially because I watched a lot of Japanese animation. Like that was not like I watched the Looney Tunes and the Max Fleischer Superman stuff, but I didn't. It wasn't. I didn't have the epiphany that there were people who did the voices until I watched anime, because the style of the performances were much more naturalistic, more subdued. You know, it's much more common to have someone doing 6 different voices in the same episode because the characters are so larger than life. Whereas in anime, not that isn't silly stuff, because there is, but the style of characterization tends to be a little bit more subdued, a little bit more cinematic. So it was because of that I started to notice, oh, it's that voice as this character, and I'm hearing it again as this other character, and that's what again made me realize that voice acting existed. But the very first Japanese animation that I ever watched was a birthday present from a friend of ours, The Slayers, which, funny enough, was dubbed in New York by a studio called Taj Productions. I would later work with that studio when I moved to New York City for my first gig on Pokemon, and I've since then done several different characters and a handful of episodes on Pokemon. But they did Slayers, and one of the first characters that I just was enchanted by and mesmerized by was this character in that series called Zelgadis. And I remember that character had this very sort of soft speaking voice, and you could just tell, because he was so quiet but self-assured, that he was very powerful. He was a very powerful mage, and that just made him so freaking cool. And that was the first time, again, because my experience with vocal characterizations in cartoons were very loud and big, and this was completely different from anything I'd ever heard, and it just drew me in. I thought, whoa, there's something about this guy. It's just really cool. And for that reason, Zelgadis from Slayers. And in fact, I have to say, a lot of my inspiration and in that type of vocal performance, that soft, kind of mysterious persona, I used a lot of that for Dust. So there's actually a lot of Zelgadis, how I would have played Zelgadis in Dust. So that's, to bring that in a full 360, that's the character I would choose.
Wow. Impressive.
Yes.
Kimlin?
Like pre-existing characters that I would probably mess with. It's kind of hard. Personally, I would like to voice like characters I could call my own as much as possible, because then you can really say, yes, it's my character. But I realize that, Shakespeare has lots of characters that have lasted throughout the ages, and they've been played by billions and billions of different people. There's probably like 20 Wonder Womans or Storms out there already, aren't there? So, let's see. That's hard to say. Really hard to say, because it's really hard, because once you hear the really good performances, it's hard to hear anyone else giving it a whirl.
Well, I mean,
either as a voice match or giving something new. So
it doesn't have to be in the sense of how you think you can improve it. Not at all, but just like one that you would have liked to have had a whirl at, or you would have, if you had the experience you do now, you would have liked to have applied for.
Let's see. I do know that I really like Rarity from My Little Pony, which sounds weird because I'm trying to. Well, you know what happened with the My Little Pony fighting his magic thing. But what I really like about Rarity is that there's a whole lot more under the surface. There's a whole that Tabitha St. Germain did a lot with the character Rarity instead of saying, "Oh, she's just a fashionista." It's sort of like there's so much room to play with such a character, like. It's sort of like we think we know so much about certain characters because, okay, we just know about how they look or what they usually do inside the respective series. But I think Rarity would be fun. Like, I think I already voice match her with Fighting is Magic, but who knows? Maybe if they're move production down to LA for some reason, it's hard to imagine. But if something like that happened, I would be really thrilled at the opportunity to give it a whirl.
They were based in Canada, I believe, at first, weren't they? I believe the Hasbro or something was based in Canada, weren't they?
I do know that the hub is kind of in Burbank, but then again, the studio that works on My Little Pony is up in Canada, so I know that's not going to happen. But you know what? Sometimes they do voice matching for stuff for toys, so who knows? Maybe that.
Okay. Edward, Devin?
Go ahead, Mac.
Why don't you go ahead? I'm still kind of sort of thinking about it.
All right.
I see how it is.
Somebody posted in the chat, like, anyone know Vampire Night? Yes, I worked on Vampire Night. I know it quite well. Very interesting show. Let me think. Favorite character that I would love to have a crack at. Okay, I'll go with the obvious ones. Love to have a crack at Bugs Bunny. I would die. I would walk into the session and they'd be like, "Are you ready to record?" Yes. And just die.
Are you going to give us an example then?
Oh gosh.
Well, you put yourself on the spot there.
Yeah, sure.
What's up, Doc?
So, I mean, Bugs is actually one of the few impressions I think I do decently. So if that ever became a possibility, I'd love to do it. Bugs and Daffy, I won't lie. I think I might be a little bit more inclined to play Daffy because I think he always gets the short end of the stick. And I always, when I watched the Looney Tunes cartoons from back in the day, I always cheered for Daffy. I always wanted him to beat Bugs just once.
Oh, Daffy's my guy, man.
I mean, like, I feel Daffy's such a cool dude. So Bugs or Daffy, either one of them.
Because that stupid rabbit's so... Oh, he's despicable.
So yeah, and now my screen is destroyed with spit. Okay, awesome.
Apparently, Mel Blanc did the same thing whenever he did.
Yeah, well, good. Then I'm in good company. Oh, man. Let me think. God, this is such a tough question. Because and let me state for the record, just because I would love a crack at these characters does not in any way mean that I believe they were not done well the first time or the second time. Yes, Chris, Knuckles is the next one I was going to say. It's not really that hard to figure out. I love Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic's cool. Knuckles is cooler. I want to play Knuckles. No bones about it. Absolutely. Holy cow.
I always
and the Knuckles from Sonic 3. Not Sonic X Knuckles. The Knuckles from Sonic 3. That was a bad man. I love that Knuckles.
He's a bad mother. Shut your mouth.
There you go.
We're just talking about
Boy, here's an interesting one. I would love to have had a crack, and it would never have happened, but I would have loved to have tried Simba from The Lion King. I would have played him completely differently than Matthew Broderick. And I think I
was
would have
about to say, like, you think you're a voice match for Jonathan
No,
Taylor
I
Thomas?
not only am I not a voice match, I would not have played that character, grown-up Simba, the same way. It would have...
No, I'm talking about Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Oh, yeah, the younger one. Yeah, sure. No. I would never play younger Simba. No, older Simba. There's actually somebody in Lucien's room that I would peg as a younger Simba to be my... If I had to pick somebody. Let me think. Those are the big... Oh, Batman's an obvious one. I would love to try Batman. Just because he's my favorite superhero. But he's like everybody's favorite, so I don't know if that's saying anything.
Ed, what?
Yes.
What about Lancer? Sorry.
Did someone tell you to say that? Did somebody potentially... Did the younger Simba tell you to say that?
No, I'm just an evil person.
Oh, okay. Well, let me explain, because nobody in the chat knows what you're talking about. So I did I did a workshop with Tony Oliver, who, interestingly enough, was the writer on Samurai Pizza Cats. Talk about coming full circle. And Lucien and myself and Kimlin and a bunch of us have worked with Tony before. And I was taking a workout just because I wanted to brush up on my dubbing skills because, unfortunately, I don't get to do a lot of dubbing for anime. It is what it is. I do a lot more video games and prelay animation, which is awesome. But I want to make sure that the ADR skill of dubbing is something that I'm able to do. So I went in there for this workout. And I did a scene from Fate Zero, and if you guys are familiar with the show, I think it was like episode 5, where Saber and Lancer do a showdown. And Mac was in the class for this, and I could not for the life of me not make this guy sound evil. And he's not. He's a very chivalrous knight. And as I was going through it, I'm like, oh, I should just do Ahrah. Oh, wait, no, Ahrah wouldn't work on this guy. The heck am I going to do? The whole time doing all these lines. And so Lucien is making fun of me because I screwed that up royally. And he's an evil person. And that's basically what that was a reference to. So, yes, I would love to play Lancer if I could get another crack at not screwing that up. That'd be great. Thank you, pal. I love Good grief. Don't I have great friends, Miss Chat Room? Don't I have just great friends? Boy, I can't think of any other characters off the top of my head. Of course, as soon as Max starts talking, I'll think.
What about like a Mass Effect character?
Don't get me started! No, I tried to avoid this on purpose. You were an evil person.
I have to say, Mass Effect, one of the best. BioWare are some of the greatest writers.
I'm gonna have to talk about the obvious thing, Lucien, even though it might come back to haunt me. But yes, I would love to play Garrus from Mass Effect. This is in no way saying that Brandon Keener, who is the voice of Garrus, did a bad job. In fact, he does an amazing job, and he's my favorite actor and one of my favorite performances in the game. And I've stolen so much from him in terms of delivery because it's kind of like you, Lucien. You have a very unique way of speaking, but it's just something you do naturally. He has a very unique way of saying things, and he just does it naturally. It's not something he's trying to do. And I love it. It's really, really interesting. So I'm currently in a series called Mass Effect Protocol, which is a radio play based on the Mass Effect universe, and it's always
not an official thing.
Yeah, it's not an official thing. It's just kind of something we're doing on the side, and it's always really interesting to put your name on something like that because when you get into the professional world, you got to be very careful about what you associate yourself with. But I've seen a lot of people in Doctor Who radio plays, and I've seen other professionals be in non-sanctioned stuff like this before. But it's all been extremely high quality stuff. So I have no problem talking about it. I play a character in that called Mila Septimus, which is funny because we got a guy in here called Septimus. And I based him completely on Garrus. He's like a really Batman version of Garrus. Like he has kind of Garrus's deliveries, but he's more in the Batman mold. And that's really interesting to explore because I love the way Garrus speaks. So Garrus would have been one that, oh my goodness, if I ever had the chance, you wouldn't have to, I would have done it for free. I would have absolutely done Garrus for free. That was I love that series. Rex too. I could have, but Michael Dorn on that is amazing too. So good. So good. I love Mass Effect. What about you, Mac?
So good.
With me, the thing is, it's not something I usually think about too often because I usually when I see a character that I really, really like, I just try to start integrating it into some characters of my own, like almost immediately. But two that really, really come to mind for me. One character I pretty much enjoy any iteration of is Starscream from Transformers.
Oh,
Yes.
I really, really love that sly, devious nature of him. He's so fun. He is so pompous. He's so full of himself. I wonder why I can relate to this character.
I always know you do a good impression of him as well.
Starscream.
I would say I kind of based my Starscream a little more on Tom Kenny's version of it. So it's a little bit of an evil SpongeBob.
And what I've actually done is I kind of do something like that for this character that I play, a demon named Vile in a Flash game called Reincarnation. And I sort of take that sort of Starscream element and then I combine it with another voice done by a friend of ours by the name of Martin Billany, Little Karibo, who does in his Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series. He does the voice of Marik Ishtar. So I take a little bit of that, a little bit of Starscream, and I kind of have my own character there. Although I still do get mistaken for Little Karibo on occasion. But comes with the territory.
He did like 99% of the voices in that, didn't he?
Oh, yes. Immensely, immensely talented guy. That is why I steal from him. So you know if you're, it's a very exclusive list. If I start stealing from you, then yeah, you know you've really, really got something there.
I actually bought a T-shirt of Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge Life a week ago.
Nice.
I love that series. I mean, when I started watching it, I thought, oh wow, this is just. There's a video up of Little Kraber doing the impressions. I thought, oh okay, wonder which one he does. All of them.
And I say to people, if you do enjoy the style of humor that is in Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series, you will probably like Samurai Pizza Cats, because it's, again, that exact same sort of thing, where it was a pretty serious anime that's taken, the script is just thrown in the garbage, and they wrote funny stuff to just match what goes on screen. And again, another character that I drew a lot of inspiration from, which I worked into, I used a lot of elements in the Raccoon character. Meowth from Pokemon.
One of my favorite animated characters of all time.
There is just so much crazy cartoony stuff. There's so much wacky stuff there. When I would watch that character, specifically Maddie Blaustein's interpretation of Meowth, I did not feel like I was watching an anime. I felt like I was just watching one of the greatest cartoon characters I'd ever seen. So yeah, those are I guess two of my biggest ones there.
I have to add one because it almost happened. Megatron and Optimus Prime. You have to understand. I love Transformers, but Universal was holding auditions for their characters. They have guys that walk around in suits dressed like Megatron and Optimus and Bumblebee. And Bumblebee obviously is just like a radio sound effect, but they needed people to come in and voice match Optimus Prime and Megatron. This is actually a funny story, and I've told Lucien, and he knows where this is going. So when I went in to audition for Megatron, I basically asked them, like, do you want the more Frank Welker Megatron, or do you want kind of the pitch down, growly movie version, which was Hugo Weaving, I believe. And so they were like, oh, stick to the movie version. And so, okay, cool. Because I had prepared the Frank Welker version because that's the Megatron I grew up on. And when I think Megatron, I always default to Frank Welker because he was the originator of it. And
what does Edwin call that Megatron, by the way? Do you remember?
Oh, what does he call it?
I think he called it like throat cancer Megatron.
Oh, throat cancer Megatron. Like yes, there you go. So they send me in there, and I go and I do my deep, ominous Megatron. They're like, oh, okay, cool. And then I do Optimus, and I'm like, guys, I'm going to be honest. I'm not Peter Cullen. I can never be Peter Cullen. But sure, I'll do this. I'll pretend like I know what I'm doing. And I got a call back. And I went, wait, guys, was everybody that bad that you found a way to get me back in the room? Really? Okay, fine, I'll take it. So I go back in for the callback, and I know what they want for Optimus because it's very clear. Peter Cullen, we want the original. And I go in there and I do the Hugo Weaving pitch down crazy Megatron thing, and they're like, that's not really how Megatron sounds. And I'm like, oh, it's not. And they play me a reference, and it's Frank Welker. And it's from like the ride that they have there. And I'm like, wait, guys, I didn't realize you wanted Frank Welker. I thought you wanted the movie. And they're like, oh, actually, it's not Frank Welker's Megatron. It's actually Frank Welker doing an imitation of Hugo Weaving. And I'm like, what? Actually, I say this in my head. I don't tell the director who's casting this. Well, actually, guys, that's the guy who started doing Megatron, and that's just his older version of Megatron, just more serious and deeper. But okay, sure, yes, that's his impression. Whatever you say, yes, sir.
That's like saying that Mark Hamill in the Arkham Asylum video game is doing his impression of Heath Ledger because he's dark.
Yeah,
it's
like, that's
Mark Hamill is the Joker. It's just a different tone and
So, long story short, I didn't end up getting cast, but to have the ability to audition for Optimus Prime and Megatron and get called back and be that close. That blew my mind. So that's probably the closest I've ever been to getting like an iconic voice match for a character like that. And it was super, super cool. But those are two I had to add in just for that reason.
Awesome. Missing anyone?
I think we got everybody. Oh, I did forget to answer my favorite character question because I know Chris pointed it out like 30 minutes ago, and I was trying to avoid it, but I don't want to be that guy, so I won't. Favorite characters I've ever played. I think I said Ahrah was probably my favorite, and if you put me on the spot and would not let me give the cop-out answer, I would probably pick Ahrah for multiple reasons. Ugh. The top of which was because of how special this game was and how honored I was to even be a part of it. The other part of that equation was really how hard it was for me. It was not easy for me to do, and we went into great detail about how I struggled and drove Mac up the wall trying to get this thing done. And it's why
and I tried to get you to quit.
Yes, he
or at
was
least
like
tested you to see if you would.
Yeah, he was like, I wanted to see if you would back down, and I don't back down and quitting are not in my vocabulary. At a very young age, I idolized Michael Jordan. And he was the most competitive man on the planet, and he would never back down from anything. And I wanted to beat this talent.
There's one quality I appreciate you for, it's that.
Aw, it's the only one, because you can't stand the rest of me. But not to keep rambling, but Ahrah was special for those reasons, because I'm not ashamed to admit how hard it was. I'm not perfect as an actor, and actors struggle. They struggle in the booth every day. And a lot of times when we're on panels or we're in interviews, you get to see the very best of what we can do. But a lot of times there's a lot of work that's put in that booth. I mean, what you hear on TV or in a video game was not always the first take. Very rarely is it the first take. And for Ahrah, there is not a single line that was done on the first take. There were some, in very rare occasions, that were 2 or 3 takes. But for the most part, a lot of those took a lot of takes and a lot of working. And so I'm not ashamed to admit that. It's, at the end of the day, it's the final product that you do. And I'm very, very happy with the way Ahrah sounds. And according to the fans, they like him. I mean, he's no Fidget or Dust, but I mean, he's not so bad that people are like, that other guy, yeah. Well, at least we have Dust and Fidget. So I hopefully I didn't distract from the awesome chemistry that is Kimlin and Lucien, because they rock the Caspa on this game.
I wouldn't put yourself down. I mean, you're the character. I mean, the character of Ahrah is what stuck them together. I mean, that's what the great thing was.
Oh no, totally. I think Ahrah is great. I think he's well done. I mean, I'm just glad that people enjoyed him, because when I thought the game was going to be big, I also thought, well, but then they'll probably like, man, I wish Ahrah was a little better. He sounds kind of weird. I don't know what it is. But I was very fortunate that people liked him, and he played his role. It was not my job to be the comedic timing, or it was not my job to be the hero. It was my job to be the mentor, and it was a lot of fun. Like that's the biggest thing for Ahrah. I had so much fun struggling to find out where he was supposed to be and what he was all about, and it was a lot of fun. The other character that I'll throw out there was a character from Heroes of Newerth. His name is Rudy Rampage, and some of the people in this room might know where I'm going with this. But he was supposed to be, when they auditioned for him in Heroes of Newerth, they were like, we want this guy to be kind of like a jock, which I can do in my sleep. I can be a jock. I was a jock, kind of.
Hell, Ahrah was a jock until I told you
Ahrah
not
was
to
a
do
jock
that.
until Mac was like, he's not a jock. Do that. And so basically, I was like, I could do a jock, and I sent them a jock take. But then I was like, I don't know why, but I kind of want to make this guy like Eddie Murphy or Chris Rock. I want to go crazy. And so I started doing these takes, and my engineer who was helping me out, his name is Jeff Vicente, he was dying. I had roommates in the room. My roommates had come with me to hang out, and they were listening to me record, and they were laughing. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this for real. And I recorded it as just this crazy over-the-top, like Eddie Murphy style character, and they cast it, and then I'm like, all right, so this skinny white guy from Chicago. I am a skinny white guy from Chicago. They were like, oh, we love that. We were laughing so hard. Yeah, do the black guy that you did. And I'm like, oh okay, I'll do that. And so I do the takes, and they post it on Facebook, and everybody's like, oh my God, where'd they find this black guy? Oh, that's so stereotypical, man. Why could it had to be a black guy? And what they don't realize is it's this skinny white kid, and it was cracking me up because people loved him. And we have an inside joke with me, the engineer, and the people who heard me record it, because one of the lines that I recorded that didn't make it in the game were cornbread, and there's no way they can put that in the game.
You didn't.
I did. I absolutely
we're gonna have a talk We are
And
going to
they-
have a long
they
talk
laughed,
after this is
the
over.
engineer laughed. The people in the room laughed. We use it every time I go to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. I order. I go, hey, can I get some fries? Can I get some potatoes? Oh, hey, can I get some cornbread? And everybody laughs. It's always funny. It's never old, and I love it. But he's like, I quote him all the time, and it's just funny. Because he's just over the top, man. He's going to knock you out because he's the baddest man on the face of the planet. Like, I think Tracy Morgan somehow got in there, too. It's just a conglomeration of crazy comedians. It's crazy. So I love it. I love it so much. There, those are my favorite characters. Sorry. There. Said it. I did it. I'm a horrible person for doing it, but I said it.
Can I just say, it doesn't relate to any of our particular works, but I love every time John DiMaggio does Tracy Morgan.
Oh my God, yes! so much.
So
I've
funny.
not heard this.
Hey, man, I had a brother that was on Alderaan. He blew up his planet.
That was my cousin.
That was my cousin, man.
The way he explains it, it's like, you gotta pout, man. You just gotta pout your lips. And
I love his facial expressions when he does it, because he like scrunches his face up.
Yeah, you have to. There's
You
certain
have
things.
to?
It's like whenever.
So he's like up in here. It's like,
Well, it's like,
what you gonna do?
You know, whenever I do Gilbert Gottfried, anyone who does Gilbert Gottfried's, you have to scrunch your face together or it doesn't sound right.
I mean, there's just no other way to do it. You have to do the face. They're just things like that.
It's so beautiful. I think you should do Dust as Gilbert Godfrey. Fidget should become
Instant.
Pikachu, and then I'll just make Ahrah like some generic Tracy Morgan ripoff thing. I'd be like, hey, yo, Dust! Wake up, man! You've been sleeping too long.
Redo the scene.
Press the
Redo the
X button.
scene.
Man, press the X buttons to do the Dust Storm, alright? Hey, man, we about to go kick General Gaius and his patootie. That's right, it's rated E for everyone.
Wow,
I said
strange. Where did I find these powers anyway?
Hey, man, it don't matter. You gotta take it, man. They ain't respecting you. You know what they said? They said you wasn't coming back. They thought you was dead.
What if it was like Dust, but with Mushu and Iago?
Oh, my God, it would be Mushu and Iago. Oh, God. That is what Eddie Murphy and Gilbert Gottfried. I didn't even think of that, Kimlin. That's brilliant. Oh, my God. Only if you play Jafar, Kimlin. Only if you're...
And go.
Yeah, basically, this is what you have to do when you have voice actors in a studio or in on a panel. You're basically, hey, guys, here's a question. Go.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And they'll take it over. And then you just have to pray that everybody's still entertained. And since there's still, like, I think 64 people here, they're not bored yet. God.
Well, something we haven't touched on is obviously a lot of people want to get into voice acting, and a lot of the questions I did get were asking about it. So, you know, what does it take? What do you really need to get into voice acting?
That's such a loaded question. Kimlin, why don't you start? Because I feel like I talk too much.
Let's see. I think we already covered in our introductions that you have to know how to act. So, I will say it's kind of weird to say, hey, you know what? If you really wanted to go into voice acting, you already Googled all the answers that are out there, right? Because everything you need to know is really out there on the internet for free.
Yeah, well, because I mean, as I was saying earlier, you know, when I again had the epiphany that this career existed, what did I do? I went online and I found as much information. I mean, the answer really is the same as with any profession that you potentially want to pursue. You want to learn as much as you can about the profession, and that is the first step. I think is you have to regard it as a legitimate profession, which sadly is not the majority. I don't think. I think many people think that it is a cute little thing that people do for fun, but you know, it's not really something you do seriously as a career. And the reality is there are many people who that is how they pay their mortgage. That's how they pay for their car payments and their utilities and groceries. That is what they do. as their profession. And so you have to learn and research and find as much information about this craft as you can. There are many books available. Yuri Lowenthal and his wife Tara Platt have an excellent book. I've not personally read it myself, but many peers in the industry who I respect recommend it. I think it's
voiceover voice actor, I believe.
Voiceover voice actor, that is. Thank you. There's, I mean, literally, if you type in, voice acting or books on voice acting, you will find stuff. There's, and more. I mean, VO Buzz Weekly is this weekly video podcast, or no, I guess not really podcast, but where they interview voice actors. Rob Paulson has a podcast. And he's been in the industry for years and years, and he interviews many of his peers who have also been doing it for a long time and know what they're talking about. D. Bradley Baker has a website called iwanttobeavoiceactor.com where he posts his 2 cents about most of the stuff involved. I mean, as far as
Crispin
Freeman, right, the voice acting mastery, Crispin Freeman does. There's a lot of different sources. I mean, what I'd say is find voice acting, listen to voiceover performances, listen to, the old audio dramas from, the Mercury Theater, The Shadow, and War of the Worlds, and, and then going forward, the Looney Tunes, Hanna-Barbera. Listen to those performances and study them. And then, for I think it was my 14th birthday. How it sort of, again, set me along the path to becoming a voice actor. My dad gave me his old 4-track recording deck. I know a lot of people are probably listening going, what the crap is that? Recording a cassette tape? What? You mean it's not CD?
You can't just send it as an MP3? Like what?
Exactly. What do you mean? I don't understand. But he gave me this recording device and a microphone, and I spent hours up in the attic just, doing funny voices. Not that, it's about doing funny voices, but again, mimicking the performances you hear is a good place to start. And then from there, I took acting classes. I would say I'm Meisner trained. I took the Sanford Meisner technique at the Ithaca Actors Workshop. And for the whole, whatever it was, 5 semesters. And that's where I really cut my teeth, and learned how to be an actor. Actor. I don't know why if I say actor like that, it makes me sound more refined and educated. You have to say actor. Actor. But, because up until that point, I would describe my acting approach as kind of like puppetry. I was manipulating my body and voice in a way that I intellectually thought was how how the character should act, without it, really being a genuine, there being a genuine core there. And, the old adage, acting is reacting, and not really understanding what that meant until I took Meisner.
That quote.
And then again layering all that stuff, that character work on top of that, so that even if it's a very outrageous, high octane character, it's still centered in this truthful place, so that it's not some guy manipulating his voice to do a silly character without anything underneath it to support it, to make it feel like it's a genuine character. It really has to. You're creating these characters for the mind, and if it doesn't have that truth to it, that grounding, then no one's gonna believe it. No one's gonna believe that you're this 60 ton dragon or a little sprite the size of a pebble, but they will, again, if you have good acting chops. and an integrity that is supporting those characters. So it's been said in various different ways by numerous people, but be a good actor, and the voices that will fall into place afterwards. So that's my 2 cents. Anyone else is free to add to or rebuke anything I've said.
I would just be reiterating a lot of the same things because, yeah, to me, you know, the root of giving a great performance is being a great storyteller, having a good understanding of characters, what makes them tick, how things affect them, and just the action, or rather the specific reaction they're trying to evoke from the people who hear them with everything that they say. And there's a lot of people who want to get into voice acting who really don't have an understanding of that. You know, they think, you know, oh, you know, I've got a really, really cool voice. Yeah, I should be a voice actor. Or I can imitate like 50 Simpsons and Family Guy characters who already have actors being paid to do those jobs instead of me. But whatever, that makes me a voice actor too. No, it really, really, really doesn't. And people who are great actors really, really find an extra layer of depth to every character that they play, you know. It drives me crazy when someone says, oh yeah, you know, I've got a great angry voice, and I'm like, that's not a character. I'll tell someone, okay, take the most evil of evil, angry, crazy villains, and then I might give them a direction like, okay, now what makes them cry? What do they really, really care about? And how do they sound when they're in that kind of mood? How do they laugh? And, you know, people who have not really discovered that aspect of acting aren't ready to be doing it.
Oh, right.
I think it was Dawes Butler. Dawes Butler, the voice of, again, 90% of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, who also taught workshops. He actually taught Corey Burton and many other people. And the thing he would famously say was, these aren't voices, these are characters. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and what's the difference there? You know, a character is, again, a fully fleshed out being that, again, lives in your mind, and a voice is just a sound.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't. One of the there's an artist and a voice actor who I quite appreciated was he worked for Disney. I don't know if you've heard of Chris Sanders.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
The name sounds familiar, but
He created the Lilo and Stitch, and he did the voice.
Yeah. I know who he is.
George Sanders. I think.
Chris, yeah.
I always appreciated how he went about the cat, and just how he was. I think with his story, he wasn't going to be doing the character in any sense at all, but he ended up doing a few voices for them to cover, and it ended up being so good that he ended up doing the voice for it. And no one else could have done a better job, in my personal opinion.
Sometimes when it fits, it just fits. I think I'm always this guy. Every panel I'm on, I'm always this guy, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I don't like being this guy, but I'd rather be me than somebody who's actually a nice person. So for me, the biggest key for voiceover, before you become a good actor, before you do all this research, before any of that happens, at your core, you have to love it. And I don't mean like it. I don't mean enjoy it. Those are all good things, but you have to love it. There is a level of enjoyment and excitement that you have to get out of it before you are even ready to step into a semi-professional world at all. And I don't say that to be mean, and I don't say that to discourage anybody from following their dreams. I raise my hand, and I am living proof that you can have no background in any of this and fall into it, and it can somehow work out for you if you love it and if you work at it. So you have to love it, and through that love, you will be able to persevere through so much of the red tape and the struggle and the flat-out rejection that you're going to face. Because it will come, and it will come in tidal waves, and you might pick up that pebble off the beach, and that will be your starting point. and you might not find another pebble until the tide rolls back out, if you're lucky. So, and that's, again, not to discourage people, but I'm around these people. I'm around people like Devin and like Lucien and like Kimlin and Laura Post and Steve Bloom and all of these people who I've come to meet and become friends with, and they do it every day. And there's such a level of enjoyment, the way that you can listen to Rob Paulson's podcast, the way he talks about how fortunate he is to be in this business and how he loves it after nearly 3 decades of doing it. A guy like Frank Welker, who did it, but when my parents were growing up, and to this day still loves it. I mean, that's where you have to be in your mindset. And it's important before you ever start investing in it monetarily, before you ever invest any time into it, to understand and to reflect and to say, hey, do I love it that much? Do I really have that enjoyment? And sometimes you find that as you're going through the process. I always say start online, go to Newgrounds, go to the VAC, which stands for the Voice Acting Club, the Voice Acting Alliance. Get in some of these radio plays, get in some of these original Flash animations, and try your hand at it. See if you have this passion for it. And if you do, and if you feel like you have a knack or you want to develop a knack, then maybe invest in a class or two. Maybe then invest in a book. But for the time being, just starting out, I always recommend to people, start out at a place like Newgrounds and try it out and really discover if you love it. Because if you don't, you will find that answer very quickly.
Yeah, if you're just looking to get popular or something like that, then this is not for you.
No, and if it's just a hobby, listen, there's nothing wrong. If you can still enjoy it, but there is a difference between a hobby and a career. And I know very, very talented people that do this as a hobby. They have no interest in doing it as a career. I believe there's a couple of people I can classify like that in Dust. I talk to people in Dust and I'm like, hey, dude, you should totally move out to LA. You have such a great voice. You have the chops. You have the, I'm happy where I am. I'm happy doing what I'm doing. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for each individual person, you need to discover that for yourself. And it's such a complicated question that there's no voiceover panel or voiceover class or voiceover book or online website that can tell you that answer. It's a journey that you go through within yourself and throughout your life. And I always tell people, don't ask what if. Take the journey. Because even if it's not for you, even if it's just a hobby or even if it's not something you truly love that much, at least you tried. And you will never ask yourself what if. Ever. And that's why I'm in LA living on a floor right now. Because I love it. I can't not do it.
Wow. What a great story.
Sorry. Like I said, I don't like being that guy, but like I can relate to where a lot of people are coming from because I'm brand new and I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I guess fake it till I make it. So I don't ask what if, but definitely figure out if you love it and take the time to really explore that. Don't be like, oh, you know what? I'm going to LA tomorrow. Don't do it. You'll get absolutely destroyed. I've seen it. I have seen it happen. I have absolutely seen it happen. It's not fun. And yes, Talking Tunes is amazing, by the way, Lucien. Just to throw that out there. You should listen to that podcast by Rob Paulson all the time. Because the other thing about that podcast, and the same thing with Crispin Freeman's over at Voice Acting Mastery, is they bring people on to tell their stories. And that's how I realized, there are a couple people. Nolan North, who is the voice in the Uncharted series. That's kind of where
he's
he blew up.
Deadpool in a lot of
and
things.
And he's Deadpool. And listen, Nolan North is, a couple years ago, people were having Nolan North years where you booked everything. Like they called that having a Nolan North year. He is huge. He was a NCAA pitcher in North Carolina. And I went, wait, what? He was a baseball player? And then he ended up in soaps, and now he's in voiceover doing video games, and he's huge. Kari Wahlgren, who I think is one of the most brilliant female voice actresses alive today, did acting her whole life and knew from her age of 6 years old, this is what I want to do. Bob Bergen was 6 years old practicing the voice of Porky Pig, and now he is. Steve Bloom was at a production company and got called in to do like creature stuff at a studio, and now he's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most voice acting roles in video games ever. I mean, there are so many different ways people get into this that I don't really want to say there's a background that you need. Yeah, it's great to be a good actor. Yeah, do improv. Yeah, do that. It's good, but if you don't have it, that doesn't mean you don't already naturally have those skills. But the only way you'll figure that out, and if you love it, is if you do it. You got to do it.
I was a screenwriting major, so
right?
Yeah, just
we all can't be Lucien Dodge and be amazing actors. I mean, we all we all got to figure it out our own way. And I mean, that's part of the journey. You got to enjoy those baby steps, and it's fun. It's a fun journey. I'm not gonna lie, it's tough. Oh man, is it rough? But man, wouldn't trade it for the world.
Well, and that's why, I mean, I think what you said about, there are people who are happy and content to do this as a hobby. I respect those people who know that about themselves, because, it is different. I mean, it's not just about the talents. Of course, that's very important, but there is the business ends, which a lot of us don't like to really deal with, but it is a necessary evil, and it can be very discouraging and psychologically trying, and it's not for everyone to go through. I mean, that's why I do believe you really have to love it if you're going to do it, because there's so many hard times that you have to be prepared to go through, and most likely will go through, in order to reach that dream. And those types of pitfalls and trials, maybe not for everyone to do, So if would perhaps be more happy doing something else, and that's not really something that they want to go through, then that's okay. I truly think that's fine. But if you are prepared to, again, go down that tough road and wait a long time for anything to start snowballing into any kind of a career. I worked in, I use the term work very loosely, in New York City for about 5 years. And, not to say I didn't do some cool things while I was there, but it wasn't the volume that it is now. And that's been an incredible development just since I've moved to Los Angeles. But I spent 5 years working every so often and doing temp jobs, very hard manual labor, washing dishes and scrubbing in the backs of kitchens, just in order for me to live and to be able to continue to work towards that goal. So just, be aware. Similarly, I don't mean to discourage anyone, but please understand the reality that this isn't easy, and nothing is. But if you love to do it, then you'll find a way to do it.
And I'm saying, guys, I want you to let you know I've watched the entire chat. And yes, Adam, Philip, I'm gonna as soon as we're done with the topic, I want Kimlin to answer your question, because believe me, I've been looking at it for like the last half hour. I know you want to go to bed. But I saw some people posting about, is it too late to get into voiceover? It's never too late to start, ever. Absolutely not. Somebody said, like, I'm 16. Is it too late to start? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Wait, what? Really? No, it's not too late. You're the perfect age. You haven't even gone to college yet. Yes, start now. I didn't even know about voiceover as a career until I was 23. I didn't book my first role, and by the way, I wasn't paid for it. I booked my first video game in a game called Sequence, which was another Xbox Live has made my career. Can I just say that? It was a game called Sequence. I booked that when I was 24. I didn't move out to LA till I was 26. I'm 27 now. I haven't been here 2 years. It's never too late. I have friends that started when they were in their 40s. I have friends that are in their 50s that are looking into it. There are Michael Johnston, the voice of Reed, has probably been doing it his whole life. I think he started acting when he was like 7 or 8. And he was in Dust, and he's booked a national commercial as a kid. There is no age limit. There is no too late or too early. It's all about an individual and what is good for you and what's going on in your head in your life. That's a totally personal thing.
That's the great thing about voice acting, though, is that there's a tier needed for everything from child to someone who's 90 years old. There's an age range needed all the time. So, yeah, I completely agree.
Yep.
It's sort of like there's a whole Cracked article about nothing but famous people, namely actors who started late. I mean, I forgot when Morgan Freeman started acting. And everyone here probably knows who Morgan Freeman is. He's gone. But it's sort of like he started when he was like 60 or 40 or something. It's never too late, clearly.
Yeah. Okay, so I think Adam Phillips' question was like, what's your favorite part of playing Fidget? I'm sorry if I screwed it up after a half an hour, but do you want
I
to let
thought I
him know?
answered it like 3 stumbling times.
Just
so I was like,
answer it again, just so that he can know. Answer it directly for him because he's been waiting all night.
Okay, Adam Phillip, are you the cool, awesome animator? If so, then I love you very much. Is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Because there might be like 10 other of them out there. I have an evil twin. I don't know about you. But there's my favorite aspect about playing Fidget is I already mentioned a whole bunch of times that she gave me the opportunity to be very quirky, be myself, that kind of thing. And gave me the opportunity to play pretty much give it my own. It's an original character, and I got to really make it original, make it me. And she's just lots of super fun, lots of ups and downs, highs and lows. I don't know what else to say. I just really like playing Fidget because there are times where she's snarky. I'm usually too shy to be snarky, so she gave me the opportunity to be that a lot.
Only
and be a little bit of a
when
jerk every so often. Hey, Gianni, you are a jerk. I'm going to be a mean back at you. I don't get to do that in real life. Or do I? But yeah,
nice.
so it's just, it's really fun. And plus it's just, I really like Fidget. I mean, I think I remember like when Mac began casting for Fidget, or not just Fidget, I mean all of the cast characters, all like, look at all these characters, Kimlin, which one do you want to play, Fidget?
I think someone was wanting to hear the at the very, very start when it shows just on the just waking up from basically being unconscious and Ahrah appearing and then Fidget following behind and announcing that she was the guardian of the sword. I think someone wanted to hear that line.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm Fidget, guardian of the sword. What else do you want me to say?
Wow. I hope that answered your question, Adam. I hope. I don't quite remember.
I'm sorry, I feel so bad.
No, I was like, oh, this guy, Adam, is like waiting to go to bed, and we're talking about how to break into voiceover, and he's probably like, guys, shut up. I just want to shut. Oh my God, Fidget, would you shut up? Edward Bosco, shut your freaking pie hole. I want to hear the cute girl. Sorry, Adam.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Obviously, with this being an indie game and pretty much the animation being, correct me if I'm wrong, pretty much being completely done by Dean.
Yeah, Dean completely animated, did all the artwork, did all of the programming, and although he's worked as a freelance artist and animator in the past, this is the first time he's ever programmed a game. He basically made this game essentially starting out as a demo to teach himself how to program, and it ballooned into this massive 3.5-year project.
I'm pretty sure that as well is how it definitely. I'm pretty sure that fact alone helped this game become as successful as it is. Because I know, especially with me, when you found out, it was pretty much just him on the whole art section. It was just what? There are AAA studios who don't produce stuff as good as this. And I personally think that definitely helped the success of the game. I don't know if you agree with that.
It definitely helps, yeah, to have like a personal attachment to something. I mean, really, when it is just one guy, then you have a lot more of a vision that you're able to put forward. You can put so much more love into achieving that, and it definitely showed.
It's kind of like the whole game as a whole is a big lesson of just do it. Like, hey, voice actors, how'd you get in? We just did it. Hey, Dean, how'd you get into making the video game? I just did it.
I woke up one morning and got making a game for dummies, and I made a game. You know, it took me 4 years, and I made it. This is how Dean sounds. I'm totally just like this. Hey guys, made a game in my sleep.
Yeah, one time Dean totally said that when I made Dust, I was just making the kind of game that I wanted to play. That makes sense to me, man.
Pretty much.
I don't know why you guys get so wrapped up on how. Just do it. You have to Nike that crap.
How do game.
You just do.
Just Nike life.
Yeah, but you know what the real question is, and I think, Lucien, you might be able to answer this. Who was Phone? Who was Phone?
Who was
I think
Phone?
is what we all need to reflect on.
It
was this that was from a comic strip that Laura and Lucien showed me, and for whatever reason it became a thing, and now we're always like, but guys, who was Phone? For no reason.
Then who was Phone?
Exactly. But
I know.
I
I
saw
know
somebody.
of phone bone. It's not phone bone. Phony bone.
No,
It's a
I'm not
different
up
phone.
on my memes. I just know this is a meme from somewhere.
Okay.
But somebody asked about voice work in New York, which I'm gonna yield to Lucien here because you worked in New York. What would you tell somebody that's a VA in New York or looking to do it?
Well,
Just do it.
yeah.
Just do it. There you go.
Really, I mean, I don't think there's really a difference as far as where you are. I mean, you want to look at what the talent agency. I mean, there are talent agencies in New York, so you want to potentially look to those. But if you don't feel like you're quite ready for that, as with any place, look at what is there. There are, I mean, see what recording studios are around, and figure out how you might get in touch with those places. I don't know if I should give. I mean, I've already revealed the studio that does Pokemon is in New York City. I don't know if I should give away what that
Let me
studio
put it
is.
this way, Lucia doesn't have to give it away. If you guys know the right keywords to type into
Right.
Google,
If
you'll be able to figure it out.
If you do your research, you'll figure it out. But I mean, 4Kids is still there. I don't know how much work they do these days. I know they used to be very popular and prominent. They were the original studio that did Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, and I don't think they do as much anime stuff these days. But they might still, again, do the occasional project here and there. But yeah, I mean, again, I was in the fortunate position in that I knew one of the teachers who worked at NYU, and she actually brought myself and a colleague of mine, Barbara Rosenblatt, who is a premier.
She's so good. Oh my
she
God.
is so good. Just
With
one
accents,
of.
too. I can't believe how
Yes.
she did a South African accent at the drop of a dime, and I can't, for the life of me.
She's like the
oh my
Meryl.
God.
She's the Meryl Streep of audiobooks.
Yeah, she's
she's been given that title, and I don't think that is inaccurate.
No, and she's also
she
been on
is-
TV. Like she's been on Law and Order, and I've seen her pop
Yeah,
up all over.
and
the
she's
place.
done. She played this great character in one of the Grand Theft Auto games. I think it was Liberty Vice Story. She played this
yeah.
transvestites, coke dealer Rennie Volsemeyer. It was just this great character. It was really funny. But this teacher who taught these sound image classes at NYU would bring myself and Barbara in to teach sort of a little class on voice acting and how we work and how they can work with us in the most effective, productive way. And through that, I was able to work myself into doing various student projects, audio dramas, and the occasional animation. And that I didn't get paid for any of that. Let me just say that was just purely for the experience and to keep my chops up, and because again I love to do what I do in any capacity. And one of those contacts, one of those NYU projects actually led to, or started out as maybe even a student film, a horror film, and I did some creature effects, sounds, and that guy, a sound designer, later hired me to do various creatures and animal sounds for a couple of video games for Sesame Street that he was doing. So it was just one thing led to another, and I think he hired me for one or two other projects after that. But you never know, if you work with other like-minded, creative individuals, it's impossible to know, though they could go on to be the next Brad Bird, or who knows. It's just a good idea to work with as many creative people as possible. And but yeah, as far as I don't know, studios. I don't know. A lot of the work I did that wasn't anime, which a lot of it was, because as far as anime goes and animation, we don't have a whole lot in New York, quite frankly. That's why I moved to Los Angeles after some time. A lot of the work I got was through an agent, which I got in time, and I got by having a demo reel of my voice, my skills as a voice actor in the commercial realm and animation. And by asking around, I found a talent agency to send it to on their behalf, on their recommendation. They actually called ahead to let them know they would be receiving it. And I became represented by Access Talent, who was and still is my New York representation. And through them, I did commercials. I did a little bit of animation. I worked on this strange. There is a theme park in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to tell this story.
Yeah,
yes.
This is real.
This is the coolest thing ever.
I'm not making this up. When I got the audition copy, it was like for a theme park attraction based on Ferrari, and I thought, what? Okay, and it's in Abu Dhabi, which I guess makes sense because I don't know. Ferrari cars and Middle East money come together to create this extravagant.
Hey man, my people make those cars. What you trying to say?
I'm just saying that they have some good capital over there. That obviously to make this happen. And it's I've never heard of anything like it or since. And I play this mischievous, wiry kind of little fairy, flying character named Nello, who is the featured character of Speed of Magic, which is one of their featured rides. It's like this 3D roller coaster ride. You're being pulled along this track. You're wearing the glasses and you're going through all this different terrain and ice and volcanoes and it's pulling you along, and so you have the real sense of like the G-force and being thrown in one direction and the other, and hot air blasts in your face when you're going through the volcano world, and it's just really really cool. So that's one of the more unique jobs I've done, which I booked through my talent agency. I did a couple of episodes on a very shortly lived show called Robotomy, which was a heartbreaking. Yeah, it was really cool, and it was a heartbreaking experience for various reasons. I mean, it didn't last long. It was practically canceled by the time it was aired, because I guess it didn't get the foreign backing or whatever. And one of the episodes I recorded for was never made. And then because they had to shorten the episodes, as it turned out, to like 15 or 11 minutes or something, all of my parts in the other episode were completely cut. So I was never actually in the show, which was so sad because it was my first. It was really heartbreaking because it was my first experience doing a prelay, which for the layman's terms means you do the voice first. When we're doing dubbing for anime and other foreign properties, because obviously the animation or the footage has already been shot, you're dubbing to the picture and you're fitting it in within the time frame and the lip flaps. Whereas with prelay, that's your Legend of Korra or SpongeBob or any of the shows that are produced domestically. The voices are recorded first and then they animate to the performances. So that was the first show I ever worked on where it was done that way, and in the end I wasn't even in it, so that was disappointing. But that's that's gonna happen. That's one of those experiences as a voice actor you go through. The very first commercial I ever booked, which was through my agency, I was cut from the final airing version or whatever.
You got no luck with these places.
Yeah, so that's, but luckily, since it was, the first thing I got, and my first experience with that happening, it kind of toughens you up very quickly, and you go, okay, well, that's a reality that happens, and just something that you have to deal with. And since then, I mean, I've actually, at least on one occasion, I know I have replaced another actor in a role, and I
know.
think.
I don't think I've done that. I don't think I've replaced anybody before, but I've seen it happen, and it's always a weird position to be in, because nobody wants to
feel bad for it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, as a professional, that is something that happens. It's not like personal, that you just move on and on to the next thing, but you still, you got to feel a little bit bad.
I saw somebody post this, and I'm just, because you're talking about all the stuff you've done, I'm curious if this question applies to you. Have you ever, because I'm thinking about it in my own head, have you ever created a character, I don't want to say created a voice, but created a character that you haven't been able to use yet, that maybe you've auditioned with but haven't booked with it yet?
No, I have this, I don't even want to call it an impression because it's not even that good. Like I don't know, I would say an emulation of this individual who I love to quote, and a stand-up comedian, a late stand-up comedian, unfortunately he left us much too soon, named Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah.
And I just love to, because he just had this really quirky, I mean, Dimitri Martin kind of does that same kind of weird, kind of quirky, short little kind of anecdotes that sort of catch you off guard, and they're just so strange, but they make you laugh because they're so strange.
Yeah, it's like you never know what to expect from him, and that's where the comedy comes from.
So he was, I mean, I believe he came before Dimitri. I mean, he was at least the first one that I was aware of who kind of did that sort of style. And he would, he just says weird stuff like, rice is great, man. Rice is great when you're hungry and you want 2,000 of something.
You're just like, wait, what?
Yeah. I was at a diner one time, and I wanted to order a chicken sandwich, but I don't think the waitress understood me because she said, "How do you want your eggs?" So I tried to answer her anyhow. Incubated, and then raised, and then plucked, and then beheaded, and then put on a grill, and then put into a bun. Dang, it's going to take a while. I don't have that kind of time. Scramble.
He's so...
So and he's, so Mitch Hedberg sort of had this kind of eclectic delivery where sort of, and he was very kind of had this stage fright, so he's sort of almost like this sort of giddiness or whatever. But he's still, at the same time, it was kind of like this loose, kind of chill sort of delivery, and he would say something, and then he would get sort of deliberate suddenly and talk like that. And I love the way, his delivery style, I just loved it. And so for a while, and I still will, if I think it's appropriate, I will try to work that characterization into an audition I'm doing. I have yet to play a character where I get to do that. But time will tell. I mean, it's going to happen sooner or later. I mean, I'm going to keep trying to put him in.
Do you have something like that? I'm sure you do.
A what?
Like either an impression of somebody or like a character that you've come up with in your head and a way that you deliver stuff that you've like used on an audition or want to use an audition but haven't been booked for yet?
Let's see. I do know that for quite a few things. Mac probably knows about quite a few of them. It usually what happens for me anyways, that sometimes I end up, they eventually get used, and that's what helps broaden my range, kind of. Like, I always practice in my spare time until the opportunity knocks. I do know that recently I finally got to try out with do my best Cree Summer impression, and I actually became a role, but I'm not sure how people will take to it, so fingers crossed, we'll see how that turns out. So if people don't know who what Cree Summer has done, she's done Susie, I think, Carmichael in the Rugrats, so little black girl. Yeah, so that was something I gave it a
I think she was
try.
also in Codename Kids Next Door, I think.
As, what, number 3?
And,
no, not 3.
Drawn Drawn together as well.
Drawn together, absolutely. Yeah, drawn
She
together
was
is a little bit more
basically,
mature, but yes.
Yeah,
Medusa in Kid Icarus Uprising.
Was she Elmira?
Yes, she was Elmira.
Yeah,
yes.
in Tiny Toons. Yeah.
And Penny in Inspector Gadget.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's
She's amazing. She was. Oh my gosh, when
attempt
she was in Thundercats, it blew me away.
Oh yeah.
She was amazing. She was. I think she was only in there for a little bit, but she was really good.
She was. My favorite thing she's ever done, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. Which is no disrespect to anything she's ever done. It was just so unique.
And
Hey,
other
Kimlin. So I have to say this. Adam's only sticking around because of you. He likes you.
yay, I love you, Adam. Yay.
I don't blame him.
Other
Like,
roles.
if it was just the rest of us, I'd leave too.
Other things I've been playing around with, but haven't had the opportunity to actually use it anywhere. We already heard Mac with his Barack Obama. For some reason, since he does it so darn much, I make fun of him by trying to do his impression.
I want to hear you do Barack Obama. Do it. Do it.
I love
You have
Kimlin's
to do
Barack
it.
Obama.
It's weird because I'm like, I will never get cast for it because I'm not black.
Do it. I have to
Or
hear
a dude.
Hey, you know what? Maybe I'll cast you as a child Barack Obama.
You really think so? Because I don't think that's good for America.
That's amazing. Oh my God. Dueling Baracks. Except one's cute and one's Barack.
I mean,
So,
then there's
okay,
also
I take
like
it back. So Gilbert Godfrey is going to be Dust. Eddie Murphy's going to be Ahrah, and Barack Obama is going to be Fidget. So that's how that's going to happen.
You know what? I really think we should put in the poison ivy.
Because that is poison ivy. That is good for Falana.
So are we just all going to talk like Barack Obama for the rest of the call?
I'm
pretty sure that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
But if you look at it from the perspective of the audience, it's something that they can believe in and will appreciate as long as you keep them entertained.
So, Dean Dodrell, I hope if you're not listening right now, I hope you see this later, and you realize that we need to call it, the sequel is going to be called Dust, Elysian Tail. I just hope you know that much.
I am okay with this. This has gotten out of hand.
Yeah. And the
On the screen.
They put up a picture on the
That's the face that Barack would give all of us right now, actually.
and he's just sort of like, and then Barack will probably one day Barack will be finding this deal like, I don't sound like that. That sounds like William Shatner. Shut up. Go away. And finally, my attempt. And finally, one more thing. It's basically whenever I make fun of people, I want to use it somewhere because apparently it gets a laugh out of people, and you know that's a tool. If it elicits a reaction over and over again, and you haven't broken it, and you figured out a way to make it a consistent shtick, then it's a tool you can put in your voice acting toolbox. My name is Bolo Santosi. I am the leader of a revolutionary army known as the Reapers. You are Scorpio, no? I hear you are very skilled. Where people of Panau will rise up as one.
Oh, Kimlin, do your impression of Neosi. Not even kidding. So for those of you that know who Kerberfer is, I feel like we all have an impression of him, and I'm going to make Kimlin do hers.
No, I mean, there are different facets of Kerberfer.
Oh, yeah, well, okay, hold on. I'm going to throw different Neosis at you, and you tell me what it sounds like. All right. Yes, give me frustrated Neosi.
Oh my god, it's so stupid. But the one, but it's sort of like,
give me tired Neosi, like 3 a.m. finished animating Neosi.
Why are we doing this shit? I don't. I'm like, what's the difference with that one and the previous one? Because the one that always comes to my mind is the one that I actually tried to do this. I'm not sure if it'll actually make it in final thing, but we'll see. I'm sorry, Kerberfer. I love you.
No, you're not.
It's because I know the thing that always gets to me is his impression of Aladdin. So I try to. Hobbes Walner's magic, genie, no.
No.
It's you. There's supposed to be a U somewhere. No.
Guys, okay.
I don't know what you're talking. Princess Jasmine.
Guys, I'm in a live stream with Dust.
And then later, Chris and Yoshi's all like, I don't sound like that. These people are out, like,
Stupid.
gonna be
Shut
recast now.
Guys. You guys. Just stop.
Lucien, do you have a Neosi?
I think my impression would just end up sounding like Napoleon Dynamite or something. Oh no, man!
Oh.
No, it's not.
That's like Chris if he was Asian. Oh no! I have to animate again. No. Okay, so Lucien is
No,
Asian.
I need to work on it.
That's how I direct you. Could you
I
make
love
that
that
sound
both of
less
you are from
Asian?
New York, but you don't sound anything like it. It's only him. That's fantastic.
Oh man.
Now I'm trying to think what the heck I haven't used yet. Mac, you gotta go because I don't know.
I've done.
Is there anything you haven't used yet?
I have done everything I want to do, and if I find something new I want to do, I just give it to Raccoon because I write him.
There we go. Speaking of Neosi, let me think. What haven't I done? Oh, there's three things I haven't done professionally that I want to do. So the first one, I said I wanted to do like an impression of Garrus, and I've gotten to do it, but not professionally. And I want to sneak. I just did it for an audition I had a couple days ago where the main character reminded me of Garrus, and I'm like, I got to do it. So that I'm crossing my fingers for. The other one, if you guys know who Jonathan Harris is, the only reason I know about this is because Rob Paulson loves to imitate him, and so I've started to really enjoy imitating him, and so I enjoy imitating him around Lucien, and Lucien was there for an audition that I did where they wanted like a Dracula, but it was kind of for a cartoony show, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna make Jonathan Harris Dracula, like this Dracula character. Have you ever heard Jonathan Harris? He always talks like this. He's very boisterous. Let me tell you, Robbie, I'm too pretty to do this. I'm too freaking pretty. I won't do it.
That's almost like Red Guy from Cow and Chicken combined with Robin Williams.
Kind of, yeah. That's kind of Jonathan, except kind of British.
Oh my gosh, listen, whoa, fantastic, wonderful, I love it.
Yes.
Dance, I can sing, I can dance dancing. Oh, too many things. You'll never have a friend like me.
Never. I want to sneak that onto somebody because I haven't been booked as that yet. And then what was? Oh shoot! I forgot the third one.
Someone
the
was
first
just
two
saying it sounded like a very excited Snape.
Mr. Potter, I have a personality. Gosh darn it! What was the third one? No, don't forget. Oh wait, it was okay. It was Garrus. It was Jonathan Harris. And it was Splinter. When I'm watching the new TMNT, the guy who does the new Splinter, his name is Hun Lee, and he's amazing. I love him. And so I tried to like get an impression of him down without sounding like generic Asian guy that will never get cast because it's clearly a white guy trying to be Asian. So I think I have a decent version of it, and my buddy Xander and I are always messing around trying to pretend we're Splinter, and so I want to use that on an audition and get booked as it, and then walk in. It's kind of like I had an audition where I did that, but it was for like the Eddie Murphy thing, and I eventually booked it for something else. But I walked in the room, and their heads turned because like we want kind of Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, and in comes this nerdy looking white guy, and I'm like,
"Hi guys, I'm here for the Eddie Murphy thing."
They're like,
Why do you sound like me when you go?
Because when I walk into auditions, I want to make sure that my voice fits my body.
Hey guys.
Hey, my name is Lucien Dodge, and I've been voice acting since I was 2.5 seconds old. I've met Corey Burton. He's my mentor, and he is
higher and more
I-
nasal.
Higher more nasal. Any more nasal. I need to like plug my.
Hi, can I plug my nose? Is that better? Is that
Perfect.
more-
Excellent. Sound
Right
just.
off.
That's it.
There we go.
It's uncanny.
Lucien,
Yeah,
you
those-
trying to take my job?
There we go.
Oh,
He's a
never.
really much better director than me. He's very- But those are the three. Jonathan Harris.
Suicide.
Terrible. Oh my. So Splinter, Jonathan Harris, and Garrus would be my three that I haven't been able to book professionally yet. I'd love to use those. Your turn, Mac.
I
Come up with something. Come up with something.
I honestly can't come up
You
with.
wait a second.
Okay.
I know what you. ever done professionally.
Whatever.
Speedy.
You know what? Huh?
Speedy.
Dee?
No, Speedy. Cervici.
Oh, Speedy.
You've never really
I've gotten to do some of that. I can't remember exactly where right now, but I've got to do that. And honestly, it doesn't really make a difference to me whether I'm doing it on an online thing or whether I'm doing it professionally. To me, it's really just as satisfying to be able to play that sort of character.
Oh, it is. My thing is,
it makes no difference to me.
I absolutely agree with you, but here's I want to fool somebody into paying me to do this. That's the thing for me. It's fun to do it online, but when somebody else actually buys it on a character, I'm like, okay, sure, yeah, that'll okay.
Aren't you already practically? Aren't you like the blackest guy out there in terms of the non-union people doing anime?
Kind of, and it's weird because it's me and Patrick Seitz. I've noticed it's me and Patrick Seitz, and if you're talking about union, maybe Troy Baker. Like those, like us three are like the white guys that do that. And John DiMaggio, I don't know if he's ever done it, but I know he's got Morgan, and he's so funny.
Slim.
So like the four, yeah, and I know I've heard Fred Tatasciore do it. So like those, like us, that's we're the crazy white people that think we can play black people, I guess. So there you go.
Fred Tatasciore doing Samuel L. Jackson is.
Oh my God, that was hysterical.
So great.
Oh my! He needs to be Sam Jackson. DiMaggio can be Tracy Morgan. Troy Baker can do. I forget who he was impersonating on Transformers, but he has an impression of somebody. Who else did I say? Patrick Seitz doing anything because he's hysterical, and I'll just do like Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy, or whatever the heck it is that I do.
Chris Rock, then you can make $1 million.
$1 billion.
No, Chris, that's not how that works for the rest of us.
Eric Bauza does a pretty good impression of it.
Yeah, he does. Oh, that was so funny. My name is Chris Rock. I'm going to walk into a booth and make $1 million. I was like, Eric Bauza, you're amazing.
Right, well, I think I'm going to have to unfortunately call this in because my hard drive is about to explode, and unfortunately, until I achieve being able to do YouTube for a living, I have to work. So all I can do is thank you four. Thank all four of you for coming along.
Well, Mac's not really a person. He doesn't count.
Quiet. But hey, Bosco.
Yeah.
You're fired.
Oh, again? All right.
Yeah, I think that's like time 24 or 25.
24. Wow, I could have sworn we were in the 30s by now.
Mm.
And yet
Mac has fired me more times than Donald Trump has on The Apprentice, anybody ever.
But yeah, all I can do is thank you all for coming in. This is more than I could have hoped for.
It has been a pleasure. Thanks for having us. Thank you for being willing to put up with us for 3.5 hours.
Yeah, y'all are crazy. Y'all need to either get a life or get a life.
No, I don't like that. It's boring. But yeah, so just wow, I've got a lot of editing to do.
Sorry about that.
Have
don't
fun with
apologize.
that.
I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. But
really?
Yeah. Well, that's why I do YouTube.
I can't. Well, see, you have to understand. We worked on Dust for forever, so I'm done with editing everything ever. Forever.
But yeah, so maybe if you could all sign off as your respective selves, and then call it to a close.
Okay.
Go ahead, oh glorious leader.
No. I'm going to finish it.
I know. I didn't mean you. I meant Lucien.
Oh,
shut up! Go ahead, Lucien.
Shut your sticky hole.
Go ahead, Lucien.
Now we're going to do our Charlie Adler impressions. As our
sign off as ourselves.
Characters?
Okay, we can do that.
Or our
Ourselves or our characters or what?
Well, for Lucien, apparently for you, it's the same thing according to the chat. Like everybody's like, "Oh my god, he sounds just like Dust."
I guess
Can I just say that's one of my favorite parts of VO is when somebody goes, "That doesn't sound anything like you."
And it's a normal voice.
Like when so I'm sorry, I'm totally
Rush
gonna
it. If you're gonna say it fast.
Yeah, so we were having the Dust release party, and everybody who was in LA at the time was able to come, and we had a couple people there that weren't in the game, like Laura Post, and when we started playing the game, she turns to me when she hears Ahrah, and she goes, "That's not you." I'm like, yeah, that's totally me. I'm not doing anything differently. She's like, "That is not you." there's nothing about you that's Ahrah. And I'm like, no, I swear, I didn't even change my voice. I just sound like I'm whispering into a mic. Are you kidding me, Laura? She's like, do it. Like, what do you mean do it? You do it live. I'm like, I'm not Bill O'Reilly. I'm not doing it live. What are you talking about? So I made her wait the whole night to do Ahrah, and as she's walking out the door, I'm like, I finally did the voice, and she's like, okay, now I believe it was you. And to me, there is no greater compliment than somebody not being able to tell you're a role. Because at the end, like, people always like to say, oh, so-and-so only has one voice, or so-and-so only does this. So when you're able to show somebody something and they don't know it's you, which is why I never tell people what I'm in, because it's always funny. They're like, God, that guy was awesome. Who was that? That was me. I was sitting right next to them. They're talking about the character. They don't know it's you. It's beautiful. Favorite thing about it, by far. Just throwing that out there. So now you can go, Lucien. Sorry.
Okay. What is the name of this stream or the show?
It is the Dragon Hat playing Super Smash Brothers stream.
Oh no!
Okay.
Super Smash the whole
No,
time.
the channel is just the Dragon Hat. Yeah.
The Dragon Hat.
Yes,
Dragon
it is.
Hat.
All right. So in one take, Lucien.
Okay. This is Dust telling you to keep on tuning in to Dragon Hat forever.
And this is the voice of Ahrah, telling you that Dragon Hat is officially a member of the Stupid Hat Club.
What, my turn now? Oh, yeah. Hi, everybody. Well, yeah, keep listening to the Dragon Hat and his Stupid Hat Club.
More than I could ever hope for, and I will be stealing all of those audio clips.
Oh, dear. We're done.
No, but seriously, thank you all very much, and I hope to see you in, whatever you're in, I will be buying and watching.
Aw.
Oh, thank you.
So basically, buy anything that's on Neon Alley if you've learned anything.
Pretty much. But anyway, thank you very much, guys.
It's our pleasure.
And thank you to everyone who's tuned in as well.
Yeah, thank you for the over 70 people at one point that tuned in. Y'all are amazing.
Yeah, you
that's
guys
the only
are
reason.
awesome.
That's the only reason we've been here for 3.5 hours, because y'all haven't left. Oh, who am I kidding? We'd do this even if nobody was around.
I do it when no one's around.
Yes, because I'll call Lucien on the phone and be like, hey, Lucien, I wanted to talk to you about something 3 hours later.
I'm just saying, just by myself. I'll just be in this closet just
lonely,
talking.
Sad little man.
Well, I can't refute that. Yeah. There's nothing inaccurate about that statement.
Anyway,
not at all.
I'm going to turn this off.